Stop. Before I can continue, I need to verify your identity.
Verify my identity. I'm buying vegetables.
Please insert your driver's license. It needs to confirm that the ID is real before I can release the letter.
You need my ID for carrots and a salad?
Ma'am, this is a restricted vegetable.
Identity pending.
Hold on, I need to check your ID before we can continue.
This is a fake ID.
What? No, that's real. Let go of me. Welcome, everyone. Identification is completely unnecessary, but please show your ID to claim the $50 gift card.
So I need ID for the gift card, but not to vote?
Sir, please stop asking dangerous questions. Who wants free ice cream?
No ID, free Sprite.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Great to see everybody here. So awesome. There's a bunch of great videos that have been put out. What's up, Musically Mezzicated? Great to see you. Just Rhonda, good to see you. Sweet Tooth here. Hello. Michelle Parsons. Hello for the Rob Raid. Hello. Thank you to everybody who came over from Robert Cavea. It's so great to have everybody here. It's been a while since I've seen you, right? A lot of things going on in the world. We're going to get into it. Got a lot of good stories to talk about tonight. There's news on the border wall going forward. Yeah. There's also some stuff happening with Cuban spies and stuff, with Cuban government stuff going on. Yeah. And then Capital One Bank, who canceled 300 accounts for Trump organization people and stuff like that. They're claiming that it was they were trying to stop money laundering. It wasn't because of politics that they canceled Trump's accounts. No. That's right. That's what they're claiming. Can you believe it? And a bunch of other stuff, too, going to talk about. So, yeah. So, Scott, what's up? Good to see you. Jay Schwartz, good to see you. Not that Karen. That's right. Good to see all the anti-communists here. That's right. How's it going? So as everybody knows, the way the show works, it works on, hey, can I get a woot woot? What's up, Cree Dog? How you doing? The Narrow Way, what's up? Mismo, good to see you. The show works by you guys tell me how long you want the show to go. So the show's going to be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, somewhere around there long, unless we hit the goal, which is $100 across all platforms, YouTube Super Chats, Rumble Rants. Becoming a member or gifting memberships on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, along with Locals and Locals Coins, along with Cash App, PayPal, Coffee, Ko-Fi, and Super Tips. We add it all up. When we hit $100, we add an extra hour. Then for each additional $100 that comes in, we add another additional hour to the show. So the show could be as long as you want it to be, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever. It's totally up to you. But hey, and then you can see Bellavision right there is activated. But when we hit 50, we activate Bellavision for the evening. Or if somebody is so generous that they donate $25 or greater, an individual person, then we automatically activate Bellavision for the entire evening. Lisa says, I'm early. Well, that's great. That's great. There was this, just so you guys know, if you don't know who this guy is, DFF on X, I highly suggest you go find him. He just did a 27-minute movie, an AI movie, which I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's 27 minutes and it's pretty funny. It's like, it's pretty funny. And I suggest you go check it out. I'm not going to play it all, but it's good. It's really good. It's It's really good. He's great. This guy is great. And he's very, very wonderful man. Does excellent work. Excellent work. I don't believe anything Capital One says. It's probably a counter narrative to distract from all the Democrat fraud we've been finding. Oh yeah, no, they're just saying they're claiming that they canceled all Trump's accounts because they were worried about like money laundering. When in reality, it was because of all the other crap. So yeah, let's get into this first news story of the evening. This is a great news story right here. A federal judge turns down the challengers of Trump's border smart wall despite understandable concerns. So a federal judge rejected a lawsuit that tried to stop the Trump administration and DHS from constructing a smart wall equipped with cameras and detection technology at the U.S.-Mexico border. Senior U.S. Judge Reggie Walton, in a 26-page opinion, said on Sunday that it's understandable about the impact and structural integrity of the levee system, but alleged that violations of the River and Harbors Act and the Administrative Procedures Acts were not enough to win a preliminary injunction against Mark Wayne Mullen. Scott, that's what I'm saying. So the plaintiffs claimed that the administration's robust enforcement efforts in the Big Bend region showed there was no need for a wall, asserting the government only speculates that border encounters may spike again in the future. Well, the wall is going to prevent somebody else from coming in and doing it all over again. That's the wall is needed. So the smart wall, said a footnote quoting the government, includes a steel bollard wall along with roads, detection technologies, cameras, lighting, and in some cases, a waterborne barrier or a secondary wall, creating a double layer barrier. As you guys remember, the Biden administration actually went after Texas, sued Texas to have Texas remove the walls that Texas put up. So, hey, Lady Bama, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, and also, too, I forgot to say, if anybody, Sherry Gatlin, great to see you. How you doing? Anybody who came over from Robert, if you would please be so kind as to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs on this channel. When we get to 10,000 subs, there will be a 24-hour stream, which what's going to happen for 24 hours? Your guess is as good as mine. So according to the judge, the plaintiffs made a key concession that the actual construction of the wall has not yet begun and that the defendants are only preparing for such construction. The court finds it unlikely, if not impossible, for the plaintiff to show the defendant's construction will likely cause irreparable harm due to its impact on the levee system, because the plaintiff admits, as it must, that the defendants do not yet have a final design for their planned construction. Well, thank you, Michelle. You're awesome. So accordingly, the irreparable harm finding would be based on nothing more than speculation, which you're not allowed to grant injunctions. You're not supposed to anyway on speculation, like speculative harms. Eat hot chicken while doing it like Davey. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I can't eat a lot of. I can only, if I eat spicy stuff, it has to be early in the day. I have GERD, and so if it's too close. But then again, if I'm up for 24 hours, I guess it's always early in the day. I don't know. I might have kind of found a catch-22 that I can eat it because I won't be going to sleep for a long time. Hey, Alan Sparks, what's up? Howdy, everybody. So George Bush appointee, this guy Walton, said that once read and redacted version of the ex-special counsel Mueller's report during Trump's first term concluded under the DOJ, then Barr distorted his findings and ordered an explanation. So this has nothing to do with the wall. It says he once read a redacted version of Mueller's report and concluded that AG Barr distorted its findings and ordered an explanation. Once Walden got those answers, he reasoned that the DOJ had properly redacted sections of Mueller's report pursuant to its deliberate process privilege contained in Exemption 5 of the Freedom of Information Act. Attack. Hey, Mona Lisa Davina, what's up? Greetings from Southern Arizona. Wow. Arizona is some beautiful country. It is. At the same time, the judge said redactions of the FBI witness reports fell under legal exemptions. Earlier that year, he expressed fear that the U.S. was becoming a banana republic. So this guy is like an anti-Trump weirdo, like Rhino type. So the post federal judge turns down a challenger of Trump's border wall despite understandable concerns. So this judge is hey, thank you. This judge is a little left of center, as they say. And then this is from, no, I don't want to install anything. No, I don't want to install your app. I want to read the story. A federal judge allows Texas border wall work to continue despite flooding concerns. So I don't understand either how a wall that's not a solid wall. It's got, water can flow through it, air blows through it. It's not completely closed. How that could cause a flood. What's up, Kofi? How's it going? Thank you. Here's what you do. You put killer drones that only go 1 mile in radius, then you rent them out to people to operate them. Problem solved. I like the way you think. So the court rejected to pause the plans near Presidio, Texas, allowing the Trump administration to proceed while the town challenges the project's potential effect on flood control levees. I don't know how the wall could stop a levee, because when the levee breaks, mama, you got to go. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well. No. Late Sunday ruling gives the Trump administration a legal victory as it moves forward with a $46 billion plan to build a barrier along the U.S.-Mexico border. We might need one along the Canada border, too. So Presidio, a border community of approximately 3,200 residents. Now, I've heard, there used to be an army base, I believe, in California called the Presidio. What's up, Bats? Great to see you. That's right. Build a wall. Build 10. I'm down by the border often. Build it. There you go. Reminding as always. Glad I didn't miss your show. No, I've just started. This is the first news story, so you don't have to remind much. So the district sued and asked the court to suspend the work. And despite the understandable concerns, is it understandable? I don't think it's understandable. Yeah, propaganda. They can't get their cartel money if the border's too tight. That's probably what it is. So decision permits DHS to continue in its border construction effort. That's good. So the attorneys representing the Presidio Development District argued that during a hearing, the government proposal could compromise the system of berms and levees surrounding the community. They also said the federal officials had disregarded a law requiring approval from the Army Corps of Engineers before construction occurs on or near federally regulated levees. Or maybe they're not federally regulated levees. Bubba says put electrified fences near the border wall. There you go. Electrified a border wall. Presidio is in San Francisco. That's what I thought. I thought it was in California, like right up by Oakland, San Francisco. What's up, Seagull Gunner? Great to see you. Kevin says early tonight. Well, it started a little early. Robert ended a few minutes early, so I had to launch when he ended. That's how it goes. They're disappointed that the construction can continue. So Presidio flood defenses were built during the 70s and 80s along the Rio Grande and nearby tributaries. The network was designed to protect residents on property from sudden flooding in the border region. Wouldn't the wall stop the flooding? I mean, if it's a solid wall, that would stop the flooding, wouldn't it? Make it out of concrete, like 4 feet thick, 50 feet tall. Sounds like crap. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's right. 41 likes out of 235. Come on, people, like the stream. Let's go. So according to the filings, they intend to replace the earthen slope of the existing levee with a concrete wall with a 30-foot steel bollard panels installed on top. So if it's a concrete wall, that's going to stop the flooding as much as the earthen berm will. I mean, they build the Hoover Dam is built out of concrete. That holds back a lot of water. I'm just saying. I knew someone that killed himself because he got cancer from chronic long-term irritation of the esophagus. Yes, a cousin of mine died because of GERD. It wasn't because of, he had really bad GERD and they had to do surgery on his throat to fix something. And then he was 2-3 weeks after surgery, he was going to the doctor's office to see his doctor for a follow-up appointment. And in the parking lot of the doctor's office, something, whatever, in his neck, like a vein, something burst and he just bled out and died in the parking lot. It's crazy, isn't it? Hey, Pam Graham, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Is this Texas? Yes, this is in Texas along the Rio Grande. So attorneys responded that the government has not yet adopted a final plan. So Walton's ruling supported that interpretation. The administration has said an accelerated construction program as part of an effort to reduce illegal border crossings to zero. Yeah, we want zero. So it also defends its plans in a separate Texas lawsuit filed by an environmental organization and church preservation group. Those plaintiffs are challenging construction on environmental and historic preservation grounds. NASCAR Mo, what's up? Good to see you on the Rumble tonight. I did see you on the YouTube yesterday. Yes, that is horrible. Yes. Yeah. So that scares me about that. That's why I pay attention to the GERD stuff, and I don't want to go down that road. But he was several years old. It's like at least 10 or 15 years older than me. And he had GERD for a long time. And basically when he was in his 20s and 30s, they didn't really have anything to take. They just go, here, take these Rolaids or Tums. And so that's, that's the issue. So here's the border wall. So I don't understand. If they put the wall on top of the berm or concrete instead of the berm and then the wall on top of it, how is the concrete not going to stop the water? I remember when I worked on a project building the border wall, steel well casings driven into ground and aircraft landing mat welded onto them. Avoid doctors. So federal judge lets them proceed with the border wall. So it's basically the same story. So the town has a population of 3,200 only, argued that the wall could cause flooding. Could cause flooding. See, now that's the problem too. Like if you're going for a injunction, it can't be speculative. You can't say, well, it could cause flooding. You have to be concrete damages. You have to be like, no, this will cause flooding. We're going to get flooded. So this is another problem with it. So, all right. Then Texas Standard judge declines to block Big Bend area border wall. Well, that's what happens. That's what happens. Same thing from the AP. Federal judge lets DHS proceed with border wall. So that's good news. We need the border walls. We need to make sure, no matter what happens, that we don't end up in another, situation where some president and some clown that's DHS secretary with a Mayorkas or somebody like. And I'm not sold on Mullins right now. Markwayne Mullen. He said a lot of things lately that make me say that guy should be fired. I'm not happy with his statements about, if cities would just let us get the worst of the worst from the prisons, we wouldn't even have to go and do any enforcement in there. No, we want them all gone. All the ones that are working illegally, we want them gone too. We want them all gone. We voted for all gone. That's what we voted for. 78 million Americans voted for deport every illegal alien. That's what they did. Yeah, cancer sucks, man. It really does. Fuck cancer. As far as I know, water still flows through slats. Concrete stops water if it's a huge damage intended to control the water. What's questionable is IB. I don't know what that means. I want the ones that hired the illegals to be imprisoned. Yes. We need to start prosecuting people. Last night, you guys who watched the show last night, we went through a whole list of illegal alien crimes at the beginning of the show last night. And it was shocking to me how many of these crimes basically said, like, well, they've been released to ICE to be deported. People arrested for murders, arrested for rapes, arrested for child molestation. Basically, they're not going to prison. They're just getting deported. No. They need to go to prison before they get deported. Like if they broke the law here, we need to maybe we need a special prison just for illegal aliens, maybe that commit crimes that are like we deport them out of the country and then they get to stay in prison. Like, I don't know, maybe CCOT would work, but something needs to happen. We can't just deport them because then people say like, oh my God, look at these people who haven't been convicted of crimes because you dropped the charges or the crime rate is, not that high. Alcatraz would work. Yeah, that would work actually. You mean like Gitmo? Weird. Yeah, something like that. CCOT, maybe in Venezuela, El Salvador. That would be nice. How about that prison be in the middle of Death Valley? That would work. That would work for me. We could get Sheriff Joe Arpaio to run it. Remember how he used to have his prisons out there in the tents? They were in the pink outfits and everything. God, I love that sheriff. He was great. I mean, he's right there. Sheriff Grady Judd is right there with Joe Arpaio. You guys don't know who Grady Judd is. He's like the Uber Florida sheriff. He's like the best. Maybe Gitmo? Definitely Gitmo. Alligator Alcatraz. There you go. Yes, the pink boxers. Definitely, Colin. How you doing? All right, we're going to jump to the next story now. I'm trying to keep it moving. I got a whole bunch of stuff. Try to get through as much stuff as possible tonight. So many stories. So Marco Rubio comes out and he says, we can't ignore the threat of Cuba. Sheriff Joe. Oh, I love that sheriff. Yes. Getting deported isn't a get out of jail free card. They do the crime, then they do the time. Yeah, but if you watched the show last night, you will find out that it's been happening a lot. where they just go, we're just going to deport them. We just get them out. But then, like, there was a guy who got busted. I don't know if you guys know who Alex Rosen is. He does that predator poacher type of thing where he's predator hunters, where he's hunting people down that are like predators, like they pose as an underage person, and then they get somebody. So they caught a guy, all right, and he was an illegal alien. And so the ICE took custody of the guy and they deported him, and he already came back into the country, and they caught him working at like a daycare or something. It's insane. It's insane. Pink boxers and green bologna. Every country would send us their prisoners. Well, that's what they're doing. That's what did happen. That's what happened. That's what Venezuela did. That's what a lot of these South American countries did. Haiti, different places. They released all their prisoners and sent them here. That's what they did. They emptied. The same thing happened in the 80s, like 79, 80, right around 80, 81 maybe. The Mariel boat lift from Cuba. They emptied the prisons and mental asylums and sent them here. And so now we're sending them back. Watch the video on YouTube. Oh, well, I think I will watch it on YouTube. Okay. All right. So here's the video from Rubio.
Secretary, great to have you back. Thank you so much.
Glad to be back. It's been a while.
There's so much to talk about, but I want to start with Cuba. This has been of particular interest to the State Department right now. You guys released a 100-page report on Cuba, calling it the capital of 21st century communism. And this report talks about the fact that Cuba's goal essentially is to erase the United States from the earth. It also details a Cuban spy network that's been undermining American interests. How did we get to a place where Cuba has become so much of a threat?
If there's any problem
to the United States,
I think for those who are following,
let me know. I can turn it up a little.
This is not unfamiliar to us, but to the average American, you see Cuba, small country, 90 miles off our shores, 9.5 million people population. What people forget that when it comes to things like espionage and influence operations, they actually are an influence and espionage superpower. If you look at the history of espionage in the United States, Cuba is the only country that consistently has implanted and embedded spies in our system without even paying them. We had an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, who ended up being a Cuban spy and was recently convicted. We've had them penetrate the highest levels of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Ana Belén Montes was one of the single biggest intelligence failures on the part of the United States and one of the biggest penetrations we've ever had in our system. So, and then on the influence front, if you look all throughout Latin America, every communist left-wing insurgency that's destabilized governments across the region, every single one of them over the last 40, 50 years has found its support, its help, in many cases its birth from a Cuban influence operation. So it was an important report just to highlight the role they play in our country, a very negative role.
The report also links Cuban influence to the rise of Antifa, the riots that we saw in 2020, as well as the surge of radical activism that we've seen all over these college campuses. To the average person, those things, I think, feel generally organic, but it turns out there are a lot of different powers, Cuba being one of them, that are influencing all of these things day to day.
Absolutely. It's the same network of protesters around the country. They were the same people you saw on the streets burning things in 2020. They then flip it around and they become the pro-Hamas protesters, and they flip it around and within 48 hours of Maduro's arrest have pre-printed signs outside the courthouse demanding his release. And then they're out there doing the ICE stuff, attacking ICE agents. There's nothing organic about it. It is funded, it is organized, and Cuba is a part of that network, and in some cases, a critical part of that network, and it's a network they will weaponize against us.
I mean, people need to realize this. This has been happening. This is Code Pink, Neville Singham, Antifa. These groups are all tied into Cuba. They all went to Cuba, and they these groups, especially in the Northwest and in the Utah area. I think it was called Utah John Brown Gun Club, and there was some other armed queers or something of Salt Lake City or something like that. Salt Lake City armed queers or something like that. They went to Cuba and trained with Palestinian terrorists, people from Hamas and stuff like that, and Hezbollah. They trained with these people from South America. It's like they're all tied together. They're all freaking commies. They are. And we have to get a handle on this. We do, because if we don't, look what's happening. You got commies winning elections in New York. You got commies winning elections in, like it looks like Michigan. He's going to be on the ballot for senator. The governor of Wisconsin is another commie Chinese woman. It's happening all over. You got communists that won mayor of Portland, mayor of Seattle. It's happening. Commies will do what commies will do. Utah, you say. Yeah, Utah. Utah has been overrun. Like Utah, what's been going on? The governor of Utah, I'm telling all you people that live in Utah, Spencer Cox is not your friend. He's not a Republican. He's not right-wing at all. He's a very far-left weirdo. And you better wake up. You better wake up.
And they talk about it openly, about how they will use that network to pressure American policymakers, not just here in the United States like Code Pink, but all over the world.
Critics of this report, of course, are saying, oh, well, these are scare tactics to potentially justify some U.S. military action against Cuba. It sounds like this is something we should take seriously, and this report sounds very real.
Everything in there is factual, and frankly, I don't think they can dispute it. People can argue that we shouldn't do with it, and I know there are plenty of people in American academia and frankly in American press that sympathize with the Cuban regime and have for a very long time. Part of it is motivated by their anti-Americanism, and part of it is motivated by ideological affinity. There are enough people in key nodes of our society, including professors, but frankly, in the past, we've seen people within our own government that sympathize with the Cuban regime. It's the way they get spies without paying them. But it doesn't mean we can ignore this threat. Put aside for a moment my history, the fact that I'm Cuban American, the fact that I grew up in Miami. This is 90 miles from our shores, a failed state 90 miles from our shores that happens to be aligned with adversaries to the United States is a national security threat to our country.
Yes. You guys remember the movie Red Dawn from the 80s, all right? The good one, the good one, the one that was awesome, where the Russians, and it was the Venezuelans and the Cubans that came in. All right. Cubans and Venezuelans that came in ahead of the Russians, if you remember the movie, and then the Russians were in. Like, it's not the Russians anymore, though. It's the Chinese with the Cubans and the Venezuelans. But now Venezuela's been taken off the board, and it seems like Venezuela, the one with Patrick Swayze. Yes, the one with Patrick Swayze. Yes. It's a great movie. It really is. I mean, and that movie, like, really, that could have had, like, they could have pulled something like, they could have tried anyway. If Mexico would have been up to Mexico, and Mexico, who knows what Mexico's going to do. Yeah, MTG is really friendly with Code Pink. Yeah, she is for some reason. That's weird, isn't it? Yes, Wolverines. Yes, awesome movie. Awesome movie. Awesome movie. There just may be something with those Mormons. I don't think I don't know if it's the Mormons, honestly. I don't know. The Mormons, maybe they're being too friendly. They're the Mormons are letting them set up mosques and shit. They bought a whole bunch of Somalis and stuff in to Mormon country. Like, the Mormons don't know that they're going to be the first to get targeted by these people. Like, I don't get it. I saw what Code Pink has done. They're disgusting and crazy. Yeah, they are. I really enjoy your show. Well, thank you so much, Mona Lisa Davina. Thank you. As I try to aim to please. Aim to please. They're pushovers? It could be. Yeah, there's a lot of we Mormons here, but not like it was before the 2002 Olympics. Much more diverse now. Lots of big companies. But Governor Cox, yeah, he sucks, man. He sucks. He sucks. He makes Mitt Romney look like a MAGA dude. Governor Cox makes Mitt Romney look MAGA. Just say it. Hey, what's up? We'll be able to watch later. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Yeah, there's Bella right there. Bella's actually not feeling well. I might as well tell you guys. Something bit her right above her eye. Her eyes got all swollen. She was messing around out in the grass out there. I don't know if it was I don't know what it is, but it like I got scared. I had to take her to the vet. They said it's just a bug bite, should be fine. I don't know if I even believe them. But so she's not feeling well. She's actually feeling pretty crappy right now. But there she is. Thank you for being here. Weak-minded do-gooders. Yes, I hate those. The Mormons are just too nice. They are pushovers because they think it's what Jesus would want. A spider. No, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't see what it was. She was messing around. Like I've got like owls living in the ground, burrowing owls and stuff on my property over here, and then like other stuff. And so she likes to mess around. Like, and I don't know what happened. She came in and I just saw like her eye was like swollen shut. I'm like, what are you doing? So yeah. She's not feeling well. When I think about a Mormon, I think of Mitt Romney. Doesn't he represent what Mormons are? Generally speaking, yeah. That's pretty, but like, he seems like he's not really like Mormon type Mormon. Like, he's more of a country club Mormon type of thing. Ground bees are mean as fuck. Oh, yeah, they are. They are on.
I want to move quickly to Venezuela. The interim government and opposition leaders there are taking steps towards a possible future with democratic elections. What role is the United States currently playing, and what can you tell us?
Well, the first thing about Venezuela is I know we're not in the era of patience and persistence, but these things take time. You're dealing with a system that's been in place for over a quarter century. So those are deep roots that you have to deal with. It's also a country that faces a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of economic.
Hold on. Let me correct this here. What's with the Mormon hate? No, I don't hate. Honestly, and Just Rana says, even though I'm not an active Mormon, I'll still defend the basic teachings. I hate being put in a box of weird. I'm not calling Mormons weird at all. All right. I know Mormon people. They are the friendliest, nicest people I've ever met. I think that's the problem, is they're too nice. Like, they're too forgiving. They think everything, turn the other cheek and help everybody. Honestly, I would love if my neighbors were all Mormons, because you can get along with them and they're great. I don't think it's the Mormons per se in Utah that's the problem. I think it's that they got diluted out. I really do. I think that more people came there from California and other places, and they brought, like, whoever knows who brought in, let a bunch of immigrant, people come in from out of, whatever you want to call them, asylum seekers, whatever came in. And I think that's the issue. I really do. Just a bad Mormon joke. No, I'm not making it. Yes, I love the Mormons. I got no problem with them. All right. I mean, I don't, I'm just saying, like, it's not any hate at all. I mean, I would rather have, put it this way, I would rather have live in an entire, me being the only, I'd rather be the only Catholic in a Mormon community than the only Catholic in a Muslim community 99 times out of a million, or 999 million out of a billion, or whatever you want to, infinity. So it's definitely strange seeing the demographic change in Salt Lake City. Yeah, it is. Salt Lake City is not what it was before the Olympics. After 2002, I know you weren't hating on us, but other comments say I'm way too sensitive. No, you're fine. You're fine. It's fine. I don't want anyone to be offended. I'm here. Everyone here has to be friendly with everybody in the chat. If anyone has an issue with somebody, have an issue with me. Don't have an issue with somebody else in the chat. That's all. Because I put myself out here for this, and that's part of it. So, it was so cool that Operation Red Dawn and Wolverine 1 and 2 were used as zone references for Saddam's capture. Oh, that is. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Off Label says, the only problem I have is Mormons are the only people to ignore the no trespassing and no soliciting signs. I don't, that's general. The people that do that come are the Seventh-day Adventists that come and knock, and they try to always come, knock on my door to talk to me. And I always talk to them, So. I need a tissue for my issue. No, you're fine. All the good old movies. They are good old movies. I kind of like that about them. Yeah.
Problems, not to mention now they've had an earthquake. So that's why we've always talked about phase one, where our priority was stabilization. We didn't want the country devolving into civil war, mass migration, civil unrest, and so forth. Step two is a recovery phase, which I think we're into. Obviously, the earthquake adds complexity to it. You've got to have a functioning economy. You need to have laws and rules and regulations in place so that investors from America and around the world can go in and safely invest and create prosperity. Ultimately, you have to have transition. At some point in time, there has to be legitimate elections at every level so that people know that the government that's there is a legitimate government chosen by their people. Step one towards that is the national reconciliation. This is a people that have been divided politically for a very long time against each other. And you're going to have to look at models like what you saw happen in Eastern Europe after the fall of the Soviet Union. And I think the role the U.S. government can continue to play is as a facilitator of all of this.
You've been outspoken for many years about the threat from China. President Xi, of course, is going to come visit here in Washington, D.C. in September. You've had to sit across the table, though, from China's foreign minister. You've had to, negotiate and talk on America's behalf. How have you found in this role negotiating with Beijing?
On the one hand, all the things that China wants to become the most powerful country in the world, and they want to do so at our expense. Obviously, we are Americans. We're not going to allow that to happen. At the same time, They are the two most powerful economies in the world, probably the two most powerful militaries in the world, although ours is further along than theirs, but nonetheless. And I think it's important for two big countries like this, the two most powerful countries in the world, have to have a relationship, have to have the ability to speak to one another and try to deconflict where possible, because it could lead to some really bad things. The foundation of that is the relationship that President Trump has with President Xi, which is a relationship of mutual respect, and they get along. And that really is important, that our two presidents can speak to one another. And it's okay. I think it's almost irresponsible, by the way, to not have direct communications with the Chinese. We want stability in our relationship. Both sides, I think, recognize that there are areas where we're not going to agree, and including areas where we're going to have.
All right, listen, everybody, stop fighting in the chat about religion, please. There's really nothing to fight about. All right, there isn't. The Mormons are Christians. They are. They believe, it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They are Christians. They have different beliefs than Catholics. They have different beliefs than Baptists, than Lutherans, than Protestants. All those other groups also have different beliefs than Catholics have different beliefs than than Baptists and Protestants. That's the greatness about America, is we can have different beliefs and we can all still believe that Christ is king if you believe in in Jesus. But if you don't, that's up to you too. I don't have anything against Buddhists or anything against Jews or I don't care what Muslims do as long as they do it in their countries and don't bring it here. Is that wrong to say? I don't know. No, Rhonda, you don't have to leave at all. Seriously, please don't. There's no reason to leave. All right. If somebody is bothering you, you can block them and you won't see what they're saying. I recommend that. But please stick around.
Compete. Now, there are areas we can work together on. That's phenomenal, fantastic for the world. But I think there's going to be a lot of areas of friction and competition. We have to manage that at the same time as we have to have a relationship with them, but we always have to look out for what's best for America.
Well, it seems like China's been on their best behavior, knowing that President Trump is in the White House. But a lot of people believe that they may be just biding their time in terms of possibly taking over Taiwan. What do you say to that?
Well, I can't speak 20 or 30 years from now. I can say that our position is we don't support any change to the current status quo that exists there right now. We would be against any sort of compelled or coerced change in status. That point was made very clear in our meetings with the Chinese. Obviously, they have a very different point of view. It's a very sensitive issue for them. So again, it's part of that delicate balancing act. Because look, any conflict between the US and China, be it economic or be it military, God forbid, would be catastrophic for both countries and for the world. So we have.
Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. I let this play a little bit longer because I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening in South America and Mexico and other places. Have you seen the reports about cartel members, Tren de Aragua leaders of cartels getting blown up and dying? And people say it's the CIA, or maybe it's not the CIA. Maybe it's what's called ground branch of the CIA taking some action. Venezuela, Ecuador, and a couple other countries have now signed deals with American companies to come in and do mining. They stopped all the illegal mining, which was being run by the cartels, because a lot of people don't realize the cartels aren't just selling drugs. They're not just trafficking people across the border. They're also basically extorting any business that tries to run in their countries. They have to pay a kickback. Basically, they anything that's being shipped or moved, anybody that wants to do any mining or anything like that, they would be shaking them down, kidnapping people. There was that whole movie. If you remember the movie, it was with what was her name? The chick that was married to the guy from Miami Vice, Don Johnson, Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith was in the movie with Russell Crowe, and the husband got kidnapped and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, that stuff happens. Your kidnapping insurance, KNR insurance is very big if you're going to operate in Mexico, South America, Central America, if you're in a corporation. So it happens. So right now what's happening is the U.S., this is a little speculation on my part, but it's backed up by the evidence, I would say, that the U.S. is systematically, yes, Proof of Life is the name of the movie, Proof of Life. Yes, great movie, good movie. The U.S. is systematically dismantling these organizations, TDA, MS-13, and the cartels in Mexico, not because of the drugs. really. I mean, the drugs, it's an added bonus, but it's not because of the drugs. It's because of the minerals and the gold and the rare earth metals, the rare earth magnets and the different things that they need to build weapon systems and other stuff. They're clearing the playing field for our companies to be able to go in and start getting the stuff for us so we can cut China out. We don't have to deal with China anymore because South America and Central America is probably the second greatest asset when it comes to these items, gold and other minerals that we use to make all these high-tech weapons. And China is not. China tried to get in there. So we're going to need, like China's in with Brazil and in but basically like these new people being elected in Colombia, Ecuador, stuff in El Salvador, these Venezuela playing along. Like if Trump can lock down the Monroe Doctrine, the Don Roe Doctrine, and lock down the Western Hemisphere, it's going to basically China, that's what China used to basically hold America at bay to get away with stuff, is be like, well, you guys need this stuff and we got the stuff and you got to come through us to get it. So you take that off the table and now it's, it's different, it's a different situation. We will only have to deal with our scammers. Well, yeah, we're going to have to deal with our scammers, but you can't be having you can't have, Lockheed Martin is not going to want to have to pay 20% off the top to some cartel. That's the bottom line. Raytheon's not paying kickbacks. That's the one thing when it comes to people talk about oil and natural gas and stuff like that. Yeah, the defense, the military industrial complex, the defense industry, they're bigger than big oil. So when they say, hey, we need this cleared out, we need to get in there. I don't know the names. There's two companies basically that signed deals that are U.S. companies to go and mine in Venezuela, do a mine in Ecuador to get these things to start, producing stuff. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. Good. Well, I hope so. Me too.
To manage that, but we can't walk away or forfeit our national interests. So this is the hard work of foreign policy, and it requires every administration to sort of balance these two competing tugs against us.
Well, we hear a lot about tensions with China. We hear a lot about tensions with Russia, with Iran daily. I think Americans probably at some point get very overwhelmed because unfortunately the good stuff doesn't make it out there often enough. What would you say though about the stability of the world right now, given you're in your position, the president is who he is?
I think the world has always been complicated and tricky. I think the difference now is if something happens halfway around the world in a place you've never heard about before, and it's really dramatic, you're going to hear about it almost instantaneously. I think the world is also going through a period of rapid transformation. I mean, there is clearly a geopolitical reordering that is occurring, and I've talked about this repeatedly. We are, after the end of the Cold War, everybody thought the whole world was just going to become free enterprise democracies and everyone would get along and nation states would no longer matter. And unfortunately, we made decisions in our foreign policy on that ridiculous basis that actually caused us to hurt our country.
That's 100% true. The decisions that were made by the people in charge of this country after 1989, after the Berlin Wall fell, when the Soviet Union collapsed, 90, 91, decisions made led to a lot of this stuff. Like we shouldn't have immediately thought that, we won, because we didn't. There was still this other giant communist country, China, that was sitting back laughing saying, well, you guys have been basically doing business with us. You guys have been basically propping us up. You've been battling it out with the Russians and you basically destroyed them. But China would not be anywhere near the strength it is if it wasn't for our US dollars, us relying on them to do our manufacturing, us relying on them to provide us with the rare earths and stuff, because we don't want to have to deal with the stuff in the US. We don't want to have the environmental impact of actually doing the mining, of doing the processing. The CIA didn't want to lose the reason to exist. It's possible. It's possible. So, yeah. So Rubio, Cuba is part of a funded network organizing radical left protests in America. So Marco Rubio pointed out that foreign communist regime inside the network funding and organizing the radical left protests in the United States is Cuba. He said demonstrations Americans are watching are organized operations with money and foreign help behind them. Yes, Neville Singham, Cuba, China, That's where it's coming from. The Chi-Coms needed the Soviets out of the way for their grand plan of revenge. Seems like it, doesn't it? Operation Southern Spear is about to go into another phase. I hope so. I really do. I really do. You know, I mean, let's be 100% clear. We have a lot more in common. All right, not just in common, but like the Chinese still have like people that they're enslaving in concentration camps with forced labor and all this stuff. We already mine for rare earth minerals for jewelry. We would have to ramp it up 100 times. Yes, that's the thing, is we have to ramp it up. We have to ramp it up. We really do. Letting China buy U.S. real estate and into its money markets and commodities was a huge mistake. Yes, huge. What I miss, I fell asleep during Robert's show. You didn't miss much. We're just talking about some stuff. Keep your chin up because you always look good with a double chin. Oh, well, thank you. I try. Yeah, Chinese Orgus harvest from prisoners. It's truly evil shit. Yes, they're evil people. They don't like. I mean, and look at this. You got this Hassan Piker clown running around saying how great China is and how China did all this great stuff, and basically, you know, trying to claim that somehow Mao Zedong, who killed 40 million people or something, like 50 million people, Chairman Mao, that somehow he's better for the world if he was in charge than capitalism and free markets. Like, it's insane that these people think this stuff. Yeah, they are reclaiming rare earth elements now. Well, I hope so. That's what we need to do. The poor little cobalt kids. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, when the Chinese are in charge of these mines in Africa and these other places, they don't care what happens to anybody. They're not protecting anybody's safety or protecting the environment at all. They don't care. They're kidnapping Tibetan women and girls and forcing them into arranged marriage. Yes. Hassan even dressed like Mao. Yeah, he did it. Like, he thinks it's I don't know. He thought it was a funny thing to do. Yeah. There's nothing organic about it. It's funded, it's organized, and Cuba is part of the network.
It's the same network of protesters around the country. They were the same people you saw on the streets burning things in 2020. They then flip it around and they become the pro-Hamas protesters, and they flip it around, and within 48 hours of Maduro's arrest have pre-printed signs outside the courthouse demanding his release. And then they're out there doing the ICE stuff, attacking ICE agents. There's nothing organic about it. It is funded, it is organized, and Cuba is a part of that network, and in some cases, a critical part of that network. And it's a network they will weaponize against us. And they talk about it openly, about how they will use that network to pressure American policymakers, not just here in the United States like Code Pink, but all over the world.
That's right. All over the world. How you guys feeling? Is everybody feeling good? Everyone, you have enough to eat today? You feel like maybe you need a little protein, a little pick-me-up? Well, if you do, may I recommend you head on over to the King of Biltong over at www.biltongusa.com and pick her up some premium, all American-made, 100% organic, pesticide-free, additive-free, none of that crap, all natural, air-dried by Anton and his lovely wife and their wonderful kids and their family. It's a family business. They'll send it directly to your house, fast shipping. It tastes great, and it's good for you. If you go to www.biltongusa.com and use promo code Jim, all right, you can get yourself premium meat at 10% off. All right. And they have a bunch of other cakes and candies and snacks and cookies and stuff from around the world you can get. But their biltong is premium, and it's great. They have Angus and Wagyu. If you want a little bit of spice, get the peri peri. If you like a lot of heat, check out the Carolina Reaper or the Ghost Pepper. It is hot, but it is good. They also have drawers and cabanasi sausages that are great. So head on over to biltongusa.com. Use promo code Jim. Get yourself premium meats at 10% off. Fast, secure shipping right to your door. And we got our first donation of the day. We got Westpro was gifted a membership over there on the Rumble by the King of Biltong. Thank you so much, Anton. Thank you. And with that, folks, we're now 95 away from adding a first additional hour and just 45 away from activating Bellvision. That's right. Rumble clap alert. Is it allowed to happen? I don't know why our standard police can't self-activate and take care of it. Well, why? Why is there what is going on in Madison, Wisconsin right now? How is there, they're calling it the CRAZ, the C-R-A-Z, the crazy, the CRAZ, something Corey Ruiz, autonomous zone, because a guy with a knife stabbed a cop and got shot, and they're letting it happen. They're letting it happen. Like, how is this? Like, the federal government needs to step in. anyone who lives in that area that's being affected by this, their rights are being violated, and our government needs to step in. We cannot have a repeat of 2020. We can't have autonomous zones that are just not subject to any law and local commie politicians basically letting it happen. Like this lady running for governor of Wisconsin, she wants this to be like nationwide. They want no police. They want just let all the criminals go. Let them all out. Let them prey on the innocent. And God forbid you want to protect yourself or defend your family. Then they're going to come after you like a ton of bricks, come right down on you. So, we need actual stuff to start happening, legal stuff. This is sedition. It's in the open. It needs to be prosecuted. Yes, they want another 2020. They do. They're looking for another George Floyd. Ari Cuba, when Raul Castro will finally kick the bucket. They're actually trying to negotiate to get him. They want him. They want to prosecute him over the murders of Americans that happened. He gave the order to shoot down an American civilian plane and kill a bunch of people. I believe 2 planes, if I'm not, 2 different planes got shot down over international waters. Oh, you wonder when he's going to kick the bucket? Pretty soon. I think he's like 85. He's pretty old, but they want him. They want to bring him into custody. So to the average people, you see Cuba, small country, 90 miles off our shore, 9.5 million people. But you forget when it comes to things like espionage, they're actually an espionage superpower.
To the average American, you see Cuba, small country, 90 miles off our shores, 9.5 million people population. What people forget that when it comes to things like espionage and influence operations, they actually are an influence and espionage superpower. If you look at the history of espionage in the United States, Cuba is the only country that consistently has implanted and embedded spies in our system without even paying them. We had an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, who ended up being a Cuban spy and was recently convicted. We've had them penetrate the highest levels of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Ana Belén Montes was one of the single biggest intelligence failures on the part of the United States and one of the biggest penetrations we've ever had in our system. So, and then on the influence front, if you look all throughout Latin America, every communist left-wing insurgency that's destabilized governments across the region, every single one of them over the last 40, 50 years has found its support, its help, in many cases its birth, from a Cuban influence operation. So it was an important report just to highlight the role they play in our country, a very negative role to the average American.
Yeah, a very negative role. It is a very negative role. Yeah, Marco's had his eye on Cuba for a long time. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you talk to people, like these people that think communism is great, why don't you talk to some people that lived under communism? The people that have fled China, the people that fled, Vietnam, when it was completely. Vietnam is still pseudo-communism, but it's not really kind of opened up. They kind of found the error of their ways, but people that fled, like, why were all these people fleeing? I'm not talking about the people that came under Biden that were released from prisons and sent by Venezuela, but the people that came for decades before that, when it was Chavez running Venezuela. Why did they leave? Cuba ran a formidable intelligence network in Africa and South America for decades during the Cold War. Well, yeah, like the people who were all guarding Maduro, those were all Cubans. His security was all Cubans. Yeah, listen to the North Korea defectors. Yes. Any Iran updates? Not really. I mean, I got some stuff, but it's nothing really. It seems like right now we're back to another waiting game on Iran to see what happens. Right? Oil's down below $80 a barrel right now, so we'll have to see where it goes, from there per se. You can't show people that communism doesn't work. You have to. You can't show people that communism doesn't work. You have to show them. You can't tell them. Okay, you can't tell people. Okay. Yeah, communism builds walls to keep people from escaping. Yes, we need to build walls to keep people from breaking in. All right, Rich, have a good night. The charge is bigger than one protest, one activist group, or one ugly night in an American city. He described influence apparatus that reaches through political organizations, academia, and parts of the press. Yeah, let's face it, our colleges have been inundated, infested with communism. I mean, think about it. It's been going on for a long time. Look at Bernadine Dorn, Bill Ayers. Obama, there was like Obama was part of a protest when he was in Harvard. He did this whole protest over one of the professors that was like a commie professor in Harvard and like basically defending the guy. So this government is 90 miles from Florida, is economically broke, but its intelligence and influence operations are not. Cuba spent decades building expertise in political warfare. All right, I already played this, didn't I? It's a hostile regime, can exploit real domestic anger. It's going to move propaganda through friendly organizations, coordinate pressure campaigns, and place trained influence operators inside a much larger crowd. And that's it. Yesterday, Tutsi was reporting Iranians were getting armed, the Persians, but he was short on details. I would love to see the Persians get armed so they can clean house. 50 years of paybacks are due. Yeah, I they've been saying it for a while. I just like to see it happen. Just ask a college student; they'll tell you how great communism is. It's weird that people get sent to college and become stupid. It's the modern day Frankfurt schools of the 20s and 30s. Yeah. So the ADN Cuba reported that the internal national rapid response plan circulated by the National Network on Cuba instructed organizers to prepare for demonstrations at ICE offices, military bases, recruiting centers, and federal buildings if conflict erupted between Washington and Havana. The planning document reportedly included ready-made messaging, proposed protest locations, and a structure for mobilizing events across the country. You guys, yes, the Weather Underground. That's right, the Weather Underground, 100%. You guys know, right? They know for a fact these protests, a lot of these protests are coming straight out of Cuba and China. That's where they're coming from. They know it. That's who's funding them. That's who's paying for it. I mean, the DSA themselves, DSA members, the members on this DSA, which they're commies, they're, the Democratic Socialists, they're fucking commies. Let's be real. All right. They pledged to defend China. Like, I don't understand how that's not a crime, how they can make a pledge to defend China. They're going to protect and defend the Chinese Communist Party. Yet they're supposed to be Americans. These people are running for office in the U.S. Yet somehow they're pledging fealty to China. Sounds wrong to me. So this report said that the networks worked alongside other pro-Cuba organizations and campaigns while presenting themselves as being a grassroots opposition to American policy. Organizers were reportedly told to prepare a rapid response within 24 to 72 hours of a triggering event, and suggested the locations to be all these, ICE facilities, military recruiting stations. I mean, how do you think these things just show up and they got the signs all printed? I mean, look at the signs, the pre-printed signs that they have. They'll say, Party for Socialism and Liberation. Those are commies. That's basically the same as the Revolutionary Communist Party of the U.S. RevCom USA. You used to see those all the time. Now they changed it to PSL or DSA. It's the same groups, the same people. They're all the same. They're all commies. It was the young college-age voters who brought in socialism to Venezuela. They were to cause the country's downfall. Well, believe it or not, that's the same people that brought in the Ayatollah. Those were the college students that were protesting. They were socialists, supposedly communists, basically. And they thought that a lot of them were women running around. They thought, like, it's going to be great, and we're going to bring in these Islamists because it was a red-green alliance is what they call it. It's the communists with the Islamists. Same thing's happening here. Women, I hate to break it to you, all you women who like to run around, do your thing, and women's lib and blah, blah, burn your bras, 10 abortions, all this stuff. When these Islamo-fascists take over, you're going to be wearing a burqa, and you ain't going to be able to do anything unless a man lets you. That's how they operate. You crazy talk about like a Handmaid's Tale. That's what's coming from the Islamo-fascists if you let them take power. Yeah, remember when the piles of pallets of bricks would show up in the city before a protest and nobody knew where they came from? Oh, people know. That's the thing, is they knew, they just didn't want to say anything. People knew. They didn't just show up. Somebody had to pay for it. This is why no one should underestimate the DSA rising. Yeah, well, it's all coming from communist China, Cuba, and other places. People that just want to see the U.S. destroyed. So they provided talking points and digital assets to move the same message throughout different cities. The organizing plan naming physical targets inside the U.S., and they've identified Cuban Institute of Friendship with peoples known as ICAP and key regime influence operations. The State Department warned Americans and foreign nationals working with sanctioned Cuban entities could face legal, financial, or immigration consequences. Like, I believe Hassan Piker is being investigated because his trip to go to Cuba was paid for by Cubans. His trip to go to China was paid for by the Chinese. They were paying people to show up, to come there, to basically for propaganda purposes. I'm a bit behind, but F building a smart wall, build smart turrets instead. Well, yeah, right. And he spilled the beans on his podcast, remember? Yeah, he did. He spilled. Better dead than red. That's right. So the Trump administration has also pushed foreign governments to recognize radical left political violence as an international security problem, because it is. In July, Rubio hosted representatives from more than 60 countries for a ministerial focused on the resurgence of far-left political terrorism. I also heard he was under FBI investigation as well. Yes. I hope, I mean, unfortunately, Hassan Piker is one of those things they call an anchor baby. His parents came here on a tourist visa and plopped him out. And then less than 90 days later, they were back in Turkey, and he stayed there until he was going to college. And then he came to the U.S. for college. So, but he's a U.S. citizen, supposedly. Natural born. Yeah. Because it's a problem. It's a problem. You see Dearborn, Michigan yesterday? F&A. It's been getting crazy. Were you talking about where they attacked Jake Lang? Is that where they attacked Jake Lang? I have that somewhere where they attacked Jake Lang. Jake Lang is his name. So the AP reported Rubio used a gathering to warn authorities have repeatedly excused violence when it comes to left-wing causes. Because Doc says, I'm kind of surprised something hasn't happened yet with Cuba. Something must be afoot behind the scenes. There's negotiations going on with Castro's grandkids. Like the grandchildren basically are like, yeah, we got to change. We got to do this. So the reps from more than 60 countries attended the meeting, and they focused on sharing intelligence and financial networks and the way ideological movements cross borders. So he also challenged the old double standard that treats organized violence from the left as understandable activism while demanding an international crackdown on every threat associated with the right. That's the way. We have anchor baby senators now. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Kamala is an anchor baby senator. So, Cuba trained she was an anchor baby vice president. Cuba trained intelligence services and security forces throughout Latin America and embedded personnel inside Venezuela's repressive apparatus. The same regime that jails Cubans for dissent has no principled interest in American civil liberties. It's true. Why would they care about civil liberties in America when they lock up their own people? They all the time locking up people just for going out and protesting. They lock them up for 10, 15 years. Yeah, their only interest is weakening the U.S. Americans have a constitutional right to protest. A government investigation should never criminalize peaceful dissent or smear people merely for upholding unpopular views. But foreign direction, covert funding, intelligence work, and material support, and coordinated attacks on federal facilities are a different matter entirely. They are. These attacks on the ICE facilities are not a protest. That's insurrection. That's actually sedition. So Congress can follow the money. It better. People need to follow the money. They really do. So federal agencies can enforce registration, sanctions, and espionage laws that are already on the books. They really need to. Universities and nonprofits and political organizations can be forced to disclose foreign relationships instead of hiding influence behind slogans and layers of friendly intermediaries. So Trump and Rubio are refusing to pretend that every domestic pressure campaign begins and ends inside America, because it doesn't. So some anger may be local, but the network weaponizing it is not. That is 100% true. So, and I'm not going to do this whole article here, but I'm just going to read the headline here. So Rubio warns Cuba has infiltrated the U.S. with spies, calls communist regime an espionage superpower. So we got to really pay attention. We got to really, really, really pay attention to this. We got to get a handle on it and get it taken out of the country. Yes, follow the money. Cash is king. It is. It really is. Marco Rubio finally responds to the viral couch meme. This is funny. He reveals that Dan Scavino built an entire meme board. So There's all this stuff. Remember all these memes of him sitting in the couch and then they put different uniforms on him. He has different jobs and everything. So. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the internet quickly gave the awkward image a second life, using it to portray Secretary of Everything. And the Rubio just says, I hated the picture. And that couch, if you don't have a pillow, you kind of sink. I look terrible. I don't know. He didn't really look terrible. He looks good, I think. What a stupid statement. You should never bother dissenting non-American. I don't know what that means. So Scavino made a whole board for me and he updated it with all the different pictures.
My grandmother is 103 years old, a doctor, lives alone, and has the sharpest
Look at 'em
memory
all.
in our entire family. Her secret almost
100 most influential Marcos of 2026.
Well, the meme thing, was interesting because when it first came out, I hated that picture, because what happened is in that couch, if you don't have a pillow behind your back, you kind of sink. So I looked at the pictures, oh, this is terrible. I looked, like whatever. And then it turned into this other thing and it was fine and it's funny. I don't really follow it very closely, but people have shown me pictures out there. We have a good friend here that works at the White House, Dan Scavino, made a nice board for me. And even since he made that board, we had to update it. So of all the different pictures. So that stuff is funny. You asked me if you've changed. I think everybody, you go through life, right? And as you go through life, you learn new things. You see things you hadn't seen before. You hear things you haven't heard before. Certainly, I'm a different person at 55 than I was at 25 or even 35 because I have 20 and 30 years of experience in between in life and in work that inform that. I think at your core, you always want to remain the same person, though, right? And that is what are your priorities in life and what are the values that sort of drive you to do what you do. And I hope that hasn't changed. And by the way, the world changes too. There are things that are true today that weren't true 10 years ago. So, I think that's true for all of us, not just me.
Awesome. So yeah, here's the board right here of the many jobs of Marco. Look at him. YouTube, Elvis impersonator, an astronaut, a reporter, coach of Miami. Look at it. Marco dressed as Chinese, as the Pope. And this is crazy. I wouldn't mind having that much hair still. I know, man. Yeah. Some hilarious memes are the Elliot Page Odyssey memes. Oh yeah, those are good. That's what I'm saying. If you haven't seen the video on X, go to DFF at DFF. He's got a 27-minute movie that he made, basically all these memes and stuff, different things tied together. It's a whole thing about Trump, and it's insane. And it's just nuts. It's so good. It's so good. I like Rubio. It's going to be a tough choice, but during his and Vance's primary, well, I don't know. We'll see. Rubio said that if Vance runs, he's not running against him. That he would, he's made statements that said he would be his VP. He wouldn't run against him. They need to make a calendar. Yeah, that would be great. Make a calendar. Elliot Page claims that biology classes are used against queer and trans people to teach stitch. Oh my God. These people should just shut up already, man. Just shut up. Just shut up already. It's just insane. So let's see here. Oh, there's some more. Look at him as a Navy guy, Green Bay Packers, a Viking. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Oh, leader of Spain. That's good. Rubio 2028. Rubio 2028. Yeah. Rubio is doing great at Secretary of State. Yes, I'm telling you, I'm a Florida guy. All right. I'm a Florida guy. And what's broken AF? Oh, do I have to fix it? Okay. All right. I didn't know what Rubio said about that. Oh, you don't know what he said. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, this is the same Marco Rubio that the Gateway Pundit previously covered as Secretary of Everything. From serious foreign policy heavyweight to internet's favorite multitasking utility player, Rubio has handled the viral treatment with class and humor. He really has, man. He's a Swiss Army knife. He is. He's turning out to be really a lot better than I thought he was going to be. You know, really a lot better. If we imprison foreigners, the country they originate from should be billed for their incarceration or paid. Yeah, there you go. You meant Elliot Page is broken. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't think he is. I mean, he could be. There's a lot of there was a lot of Cuban Jews, you know. Was a lot of Jews in Cuba. So he could be, maybe. I don't know. Our Secretary of State DJs weddings too. Oh yeah, this is right. He was at a hotel and he just started doing a DJ at a wedding. Like, this is crazy, right? Oh, they just showed up to somebody's wedding. I mean, that's just nuts, right? It's nuts. Drop the beat. So, that's crazy. All right, let's jump to this next story here. So, New Jersey Democrat Josh Gottheimer warns DSA are using the party as a vessel for communism. They really are. Hey, what's up, Finch? Great to see you. Little Rubio has certainly grown up under Trump. His class and humor. Yeah. Marco was early Tea Party. Mark Edwin says, my Judar says Rubio isn't. So, Democrat Rep Josh Gottheimer has warned that members of the DSA are attempting to transform the Democrat Party into a vehicle for socialism and communism, saying they are not Democrats and should form their own political party. That's kind of what you should do. You need to gatekeep a little bit. Like, yeah. You can vote communism in, but you can't vote them out. That's right. You can vote them in, but there's only one. You can get them. You can get communism through the ballot box, but the only way to get rid of it is through the bullet box. I'm very proud. He says, I am a very proud common sense Democrat, and I don't think DSA members are Democrats. They're socialists. I'm all for them having their own party if they want one, but if they're trying to take over our party, that's unacceptable to me. They're trying to use the Democrats as a vessel for their ideas. As you heard in some of these conventions, literally they're supporting the Communist Manifesto and Trotsky. They're anti-American, they're anti-cop, and they don't believe in borders. Time to reverse the colors between Republicans and Democrats. Yeah, just like it was before Reagan. Yeah. Yeah, it used to be that the Democrats were red and the Republicans were blue, and then when Reagan came in, they swapped them for some reason. Implant in today a little sore. It'll be fine, though. It'll be fine. The main thing, like Steve, the main thing is to make sure you don't, if you wear a belt, make sure you don't wear the belt where it's like pushing and rubbing on it. You know, like your waist belt line is not right where the implant is, because that will be an issue. You want it to be either above it or below it, your belt line. Otherwise, it'll constantly be like rubbing and rubbing, rubbing. So Gottheimer estimated that the socialists of America have roughly 50,000 members compared to the 45 million Democrats nationwide. Well, if these stupid Democrats vote for them, that's on them for being stupid Democrats. And they're not welcome in the Democrat Party, he says. So comments come as internal divisions continue to grow between the moderate Democrats and the party's progressive wing. Well, you let people like AOC, you let people like Ilhan Omar, you let people like Rashida Tlaib, and what was it, Professor Xavier, the chick, what the fuck's her name? The one with the shaved head. They're all commies. You let these commies in. So, however, Gottheimer refused to commit to further election security like proof of citizenship requirements, instead dismissing New Jersey's recent voting fraud scandal as a mere technological failure. Yeah, it's a technical foul. Can tell when Jim cannot see my comments. I can see your comments. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. What are you talking about? America Fist doesn't like you? Huh? Huh? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I can't read every chat all the time. I get as many of them as I can. Belt and implant. I missed the subject area. Steve Hilliard got a new spinal cord stimulator implant, and I was just telling him because it's on your back, and if it's right at your belt line, your waistline, your belt line, it's gonna bother you. So you got to either wear your pants above it or below. You got to if you fart, it shocks you. Oh, well, then it's too. That might be it's too a little too high. Then might be turned up a little too high. It shouldn't do that. Talking about you reading everyone's comments but mine. It says you cannot see my comments. No, I see him. I've been skipping a bunch of people's. I haven't been reading all of them. Hey, Roselle Jam, thanks for being here. So now chat reconnected. Oh, well, it's YouTube then. It's not me. So Gottheimer voted against the SAVE Act legislation that would have required documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. Go figure. Yeah. So these people are complaining, but they want they want, it's not just the Democrats, there's some Republicans that are blocking it too. Some Republicans. TPSU front lines, visa overstays, human smuggling networks. Oh, that's something I want to look at. Thank you. And then this story, I saw this. This is kind of independent journalist Nick Shirley was violently attacked and chased with a knife by invaders in Ceuta, Spain. Wow, he's over in Spain getting chased. Oh, well, thanks. Thank you so much. I was reading the chat of another podcast. Greg is trolling hard there. Someone told him he's too stupid for Soros to pay him. Oh, well, it can happen. So Shirley caught slipping. Yeah, you can't be doing this stuff. Yes. So brave independent journalist and YouTuber Nick Shirley is once again risking his life to show the world the truth about the globalist media and open borders politicians desperately want to hide. Matt says, we need a new crusade over in Europe. We need a new crusade. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. They're saying about Spain, about basically southern Spain and Ceuta and these other areas are oh, well, they were all Islamic. We want to take it back for the caliphate because it was part of the caliphate. Well, yeah, they conquered the land from Christians and then it got conquered back. So they just oh no, but at one point we had it, so now it's ours. People don't realize that's how the world works. Is somebody conquers, and then they get conquered and lose the land. I mean, that's just yes, we do. We need a crusade here. We do. We need it everywhere. We do. While Spokane burns. Yes, you saw this, right? They just kind of act like nothing was going wrong over there. They're basically following California's lead, the way California treats wildfires, just letting it all burn right up to right up to houses and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. It really is. So while documenting the massive Moroccan surge in Spanish enclave of Ceuta, Shirley was violently attacked, chased down a hill by a knife-wielding invader, pelted with rocks, and forced to seek protection from Spanish police. Crazy. Spanish police. Well, Spain doesn't have what it takes to produce another El Cid. No, they don't. They need a new Franco. They really do. They need a new Franco. They need a new Franco. They really do. They need a new Franco. And if they don't get a new Franco, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So we're getting chased. He has a knife. Spain's Interior Ministry previously confirmed that 2 people suffered minor injuries in separate knife attacks. I saw a video of a guy with a screwdriver hanging out of his head. Nick Shirley should stay away from those places. We need him here. Yeah, he should be doing stuff in the U.S. We need him in the U.S. exposing stuff. He says, been up for the past 48 hours flying, filming, and editing to make this video. Please subscribe to my stuff. So
then headed to the center of the town with the citizen vigilante Mancia. However, within minutes, we were chased out. So now people here to feel safe, they're walking around with their dogs because Muslims do not like dogs. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Now we got people throwing stuff at us. ¿Qué hizo? Look, he's got the rocks now. He's throwing rocks. Oh, shit. They're throwing rocks.
No.
Look now. He has
a knife. He has a knife.
Oh.
He got a knife. He's got a knife. Just like that, we have finished our mission here in Spain. We showed you guys the truth of what was actually going on. And we finished with a nice. We finished with a.
This is crazy. I couldn't tell what was that guy speaking Spanish or was that guy speaking whatever Durka language they speak in Morocco. I couldn't tell because it was kind of distance. You have a bunch of bacon wrapped ball bearings and a wrist rocket. There you go. There you go. You just watched this on Asman's stream. Oh, cool. That's where you need a 45. Yes, it would work. That was Moroccan. All right. It's an Islamic principle that any land that was once Muslim is forever Muslim. If they're repelled, then it's occupied land. Oh, is that it? Well, they can go. Yeah. I guess they think New York is now a Muslim land, right? Because they got a Muslim mayor, so that means it's been conquered, right? It's Spanish, French, and something else. Most of them don't speak Spanish. Okay. So Ceuta is a Spanish city of roughly 84,000 people, was overwhelmed, businesses shut down over looting fears. The military was deployed, dozens died. Thousands of invaders remain in the mountains and city looking to push onwards into mainland Europe. Shirley's been reporting the military is losing control as the numbers of military-age men continue to escape into the hills. Here's the truth from Ceuta. 66,000 migrants from Morocco's border stormed the small town and are hiding in the mountains. Wow.
This is a crazy situation right now.
We're not going to watch this whole thing. It's 28 minutes long. If you want to watch the whole thing, go to Nick Shirley's. I don't want to just watch the whole thing. And
Do you think it will take vigilantes to actually make a difference here inside of Europe?
I'm the first vigilante here. They're gonna fear me.
¿Por qué mujeres no vinieron aquí? Now they're all coming down, being walked down the mountain right now. Here in Spain, they received over 60,000 migrants who came across from the Moroccan border into the country of Spain. This is mainland Spain right behind me. However, right now I'm heading over to Ceuta, which is actually a town in Spain. However, it is on the African continent. There's a few towns that are part of Spain that are on the African continent, and Ceuta is one of them. Literally over 60,000 migrants came across their border. A lot of people are wondering what actually happened. So therefore, we're heading there right now to see it for ourselves. These migrants quite literally came over by the truckloads in Spain, and people are wondering if it's a coordinated attack or if it was just the Moroccans that were coming over and seeking for a better life, or if it was an actual invasion. And just recently, in April, the Prime Minister of Spain came out with a plan to give over 500,000 migrants legal status here inside of the country. Right now, we're heading over to Ceuta to see it for ourselves. We'll be speaking with the migrants themselves, with the Spaniards, and we'll even be going to the border to see what actually happened here inside this town. And right now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, we're so close to 2 million subscribers. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and now
Hank, you ain't wrong, Hank. We did. We watched it happen, and nobody really. I mean, people complained, but nobody did nothing. There should have been. Think about what would have happened, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if that was going on and everybody knew about it. The people would have rose up. They wouldn't have tolerated it. But everybody's got a good life now, and they don't want to, whatever, because you got some people saying, "Oh, who's gonna, what was it? Who's gonna clean the toilets? Who's gonna pick the lettuce? Who's gonna do this?" It's all bullshit. It's all lies. It's all lies. Those aren't the jobs they're taking. They're taking jobs in healthcare. They're taking jobs in construction. They're taking jobs that many Americans can't get now because they just, they hire their own once they get in. It's happening in big tech. It's happening everywhere. An Indian guy gets put in charge of a tech company. He only wants to hire Indians. Haitian gets put in charge of a, medical, nursing staffing company. They're only going to hire Haitians. That's how it works. They're very tribal. Yeah, serious BS. Yeah, it is.
Let's see what is actually happening. Here we go. Now to start, I met up with citizen vigilante by the name Mancia, who saw and predicted that the migrants were coming just days before. And now let's go see what is happening. We've arrived now, and we're here with Mancia. Mancia's from here in Spain. Right now we have a group of men right here. Look, they're covering up their faces. ¿Eres de Morocco? You from Morocco?
No ladrones, no carteristas.
¿Por qué vinieron aquí a España?
No hablar mucho.
Trabajo.
Trabajando, no carteristas, no ladrones.
Cruzaste nadando.
Yeah.
Nadando. Okay. These people don't want to leave. They want to go to Europe. They want to go to Spain. So that's their mission here. That's why they crossed by swimming.
On July 31st was the day when quite literally 60,000 people came across. And right now, a lot of those young men have returned back to Morocco. But now you just have groups of these men walking around this town. Just like this one right here.
These groups are creating insecurity. The military are here as well.
This is Morocco.
He said one thing. He said, this is Morocco. One of them said, this is Morocco because they think this is Morocco, but Spain, this has been Spanish since 400 years. 400 years before Morocco got his independence. So it doesn't make any sense. But still they say this is Morocco.
Is this the first stop for most migrants to head up into the rest of Europe?
Yes. This is the main door, the main gate. Yeah.
And right now we're heading to the border. Here we go. We've made it here to the border, and a lot of these migrants are actually now going back to Morocco. So for instance, right here, we have a group of Moroccans that are now going back to Morocco. So right here is where they all came into the country, and right now they're going back to Morocco. Now there are still thousands upon thousands of migrants out inside the city, and we'll be finding them in just a moment. However, it's super important for you guys to understand exactly what happened at the border. So this is the border right now. We do have some people that are turning themselves in, and now they're saying just go back to Morocco. And it looks like you guys do have some floaties out now to stop people from coming in. Were those there before?
The thing is, I don't understand why they didn't put this before when this started. Why now? Why now? That's my question.
Do you think it was coordinated to let them all come in that day?
It's coordinated because I cannot imagine a country like Morocco, which is investing heavily in cybersecurity, in military, how these people can get.
Well, we saw the videos. They were driving them. I've heard reports that they let a bunch of people out of prison and did a lot of things like let people out of prisons and stuff, and that's who they were. I mean, it was all men. It was all military-age men. It's the same thing with the people that were coming into the U.S. I mean, face-on-face facts. That's what was happening with the caravans and the stuff coming up to the U.S. The same thing. We were being invaded from all over the world from people. And, the Biden administration did absolutely nothing to protect us from invasion. Can we imagine if these folks were armed? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, percentage leaving versus entered. Yeah, it's like 1% leaving. I would imagine all the shops and stores close up to avoid looting. Yeah, but we saw it's been happening for years. Wake up, fools. Yeah, it's been going on for years. It really has. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's a full-on invasion. It is. It is. Well, like I said, I'm not going to watch this whole video. I don't want to watch this whole video, but it's great stuff. Go check it out. Those were all Democrat voters. Yes, they were. The Biden administration led the invasion. They did lead a lot of it. And then here's part of the problem too, is you've got this same thing we have here with these people out here saying like, oh, the people that are running around, trying to stop ICE from deporting people. Yeah, the fake news is reporting that most has returned. Yeah, so full of it. Yeah, definitely. If water systems weren't hooked up to the internet, they wouldn't be hackable. We're going to get to that. I have that story lined up. Obama and Biden flew them into cities into the interior to boost census numbers for congressional seats. Yeah. And he did. So check this. Spanish woman's suicidal empathy is on full display as Africans invade the city. So Tuesday's and Thursday's invasion of Ceuta, Spain by tens of thousands of Moroccan illegal aliens provided the public with an exemplary footage of suicidal empathy, as one woman was filmed happily waving in droves of young men. CBS News reported that an estimated 60,000 Moroccans crossed the border that day. Wow. Spain's ministry said over 12,000 have been sent back. So 60,000 came in, and they're claiming 25,000 went back. That's still 35,000 that didn't go back in one day. So a Christian podcaster reposted the footage along with a wider shot of the invaders, aptly terming it suicidal empathy in its most concentrated form. She has chronic jungle fever. Well, the border is closed. Well, is it? Which border? Our border? Their border? I mean, come on. Are there still drugs in the U.S.? Then the border's not closed. There's still plenty of cocaine. There's still plenty of meth. There's still plenty of fentanyl and all this shit in the U.S. Our borders is way more secure than it was even during the first Trump administration. But it's not what it needs to be. It's not. Canada is wide open. Yeah. So, yeah, suicidal empathy in its most concentrated form. So let's go. There you go. Ready? See, here's this woman. Look at her. Oh, look at her. Oh. I wonder, once she gets raped, I wonder if she's going to think it's a great idea. Come on in. Come on in.
Vamos, por favor.
Yeah. Change her name to Penn Station. Yeah, right. That's why I posted the Canadian Border Link story. Oh, you did? Where? I don't think I saw it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. Anyway. So, yeah. So, from how the woman was dressed and the fact that she's a woman, the individual in question was likely not part of the invasion. She was recording these men running past her as she encouraged them. Consider for a moment the danger she's in this clip. Who are these men? What are their intentions? How many have ever committed a rape or a murder? The answer to those questions is more simple. We don't know. She's a sheep among wolves. Yeah. So a professor of marketing, Gad Sad, wrote about the phenomenon of suicidal empathy, dying to be kind. According to the thesis, empathy becomes misdirected into a type of benevolent altruism that prioritizes the perceived feelings and needs of marginalized or external groups at the expense of the survival, security, and interests of one's own group. Oh, I did. Okay, I do have that. Okay, I got it. I already had it. Sorry. Thanks. I already had it. I didn't realize I had it somewhere else. And call the own white men racist for being against this. Yeah, that's what they do, though. A lot of these Eurobits are the ones who supported or voted for this. Yes? Yeah. It was probably a trans woman. Maybe, but it didn't look like it. Didn't look like it. So the outcome is the weakening, ultimate destruction of the very civilization that expressed the empathy. Yeah. So Europe used to fight barbarous hordes of invaders out of Africa and the Middle East at the cost of massive loss of life. What was unfathomable centuries ago is now the norm. They just simply let them in. Just letting them in. Just letting them in. And then this is the the failing socialist prime minister jets out on holiday as authorities in Sweden are still chasing migrants to deport and recovering dead bodies from the sea. This is crazy. Sorry. This is crazy. Well, this clown, I think all his family members and these people in his administration are all getting charged with corruption, bribery, extortion, money, stealing, basically. So if you thought the prime minister was bad because his family and his top aides are all involved in corruption probes and his Communist Party targeted by multiple sexual harassment claims, it's much worse. He's facing a barrage of criticism after jetting off to the Canary Islands for a holiday, as thousands of migrant invaders have refused to leave Spanish territory.
Tranquilos, yo estoy bien.
Pedro's, so these Sweden locals give the PM a warm welcome. Yeah, he's a Gavin Newsom, 100% a Gavin Newsom, 100%. Gavin Newsom is just as bad. So just released a TikTok video in which he represents his favorite songs of the year so far. Well, I'm not going to play that. Fuck him. So hundreds, thousands, I would say thousands. 25,000 went back, 60,000 came in. There's 35,000, so more than half are still there. 35,000 are still there after they stormed into the Spanish enclave. The mass majority who swam or walked the territory at a coast returned. No, they didn't. They did not. The vast majority did not. That's what they're saying. They're claiming that. They're lying. The reality on the ground is they're still there. They're lying. If 25,000 left and 60,000 came in, that means 35,000 are still there. So they're lying. Yes, but most went back. No, they didn't. Oh, for fuck's sake, a warm welcome. Yeah, they need to vote Vox. Yes, they do. A lot of them were in trucks. Yeah, it's fake news, 100% fake news. Yeah. Yeah. Translated to the effing politician bastards who dare to say that things are back to normal. Just 3 minutes from my house. Tell me how I'm supposed to step out now thinking something's going to happen. Yeah. That's my Nick Black. This is why they don't teach math anymore. Yeah, they're calling him a puta. I don't think that's nice. I don't think that's a way to say he's a friend if you're calling him a puta. I think that's a bad word, if I'm not mistaken. I saw a video of Moroccan saying he's there for his money and his free house. A lot of non-Moroccans are still there. It gets dark early. Yeah. That's crazy. So this is that other story. So Turning Point USA exposes the loopholes in visa overstays and human smuggling networks that are funneling foreigners into the U.S. across the Canadian border. So they released a new 25-minute documentary examining Canada's immigration system. The documentary reveals that 50,000 international students from India have disappeared from Canada's immigration system after entering the country. Yeah, Spain wins the World Cup and lets Morocco kick its ass. It's crazy, isn't it? So they expose that the issue extends beyond missing students, stating that Canada's visa and immigration policy have created a pipeline exploited by migrants seeking to reach the U.S. Taylor Hansen and Kian Simone travel along Canada's southern border, where they say they meet with a human smuggler who operates through social media. So he said they test the response times of the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So the documentary unveils the weakness in Canada's once strong immigration enforcement. From India to America, the Canadian smuggling route, 50,000 students on visas have disappeared. Canada's immigration system has created a pipeline. So we're not going to watch all this either. This is 25 minutes.
List. Are you guys interested in giving me a comment on why you guys are illegally smuggling humans into America?
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
So in terms
oh, really? So
of the total number of students that we did ask for compliance, that results in potentially 47,175. We have.
Wait, so I want you to notice right there. Did you see the name of this Canadian politician? Aisha Zafar. That's a very Canadian name. Very Canadian. You know, Canadian names are like, you know, Gretzky, Hansen, you know, Trudeau. That's not a Canadian name. So you brought these people in, they've taken over your country, and they're turning it into the country they left. That's what's happening in Canada. Just same things happen in the U.S., though. Why is a foreigner in charge of immigration? It's very strange, isn't it? Very strange. Jonathan says, checking in late, been lurking. Beware of the cult of personality. Oh, I'm just chilling, man. Just chilling. Thank you. Yeah, Castro. Yeah, very, very Canadian names.
And potentially 47,175. We have not yet determined whether or not they are fully non-compliant. Okay. These are initial results that the institutions provide to us.
Could you find them if they are compliant?
Any foreign national in Canada would be under the purview of the Canada Border Services Agency, okay. So they have an inland.
It's not so far enough for political power.
Yeah. How many right now are fully non-compliant?
I don't have that number.
Can you provide that with committee?
That would be a challenging number because how
do you if you don't know how many are non-compliant, how can you track them and remove them?
It's crazy, right? So that's what's happening in Canada. So he stated that more than half of Brampton's 750,000 residents were South Asian descent. Official figures don't account for individuals who overstayed tourist or student visas. Canada did not comprehensively track departures of foreign nationals. So he was joined by a Toronto-based journalist, Harrison Faulkner, who pointed. I wonder if that's related to Harris Faulkner, who pointed to a large statue of the Hindu deity Hamanu as a symbol of what he described as Canada's changing demographics. So you got these diploma mills doing these things. So Canada's international student population increased by 190% between 2019 and 2023. NGOs all connected. Yes. Sounds like hearings in front of our Congress. Yeah, really does. So tens of thousands of asylum seekers entered Canada through Roxham Road after abusing the loophole of the Safe Third Country Agreement, a treaty requiring most refugee claimants to seek asylum in the first safe country they enter. Yeah, same thing that they do to us. You know, the distinction transferred Roxham Road into Canada's busiest irregular border crossing. So the Trudeau government consistently referred to the crossing as irregular migration. Effectively, they rewarded illegal border crossings. So between 2017 and the closure of the loophole in 2023, 86,000 asylum seekers entered Canada through Roxham Road. The huge influx helped break apart the country's once respected immigration and refugee systems. Wow. So conservative politicians at the time, including several provincial premiers and immigration critics, repeatedly accused the Trudeau government of failing to act despite years of warnings. So exactly it's weird that the government of Canada was doing the same exact thing at the same exact time that Joe Biden was doing. It's almost like they all had it planned. Like, who was paying them? Where did the Harris Faulkner's been married to Tony Berlin since 2003. Well, I was just saying, it was weird. Don't you think it was weird that it's Harrison Faulkner and Harris Faulkner? That's what I'm wondering. Is that her kid or something? I don't know. It's weird, right? Don't you think it's weird? So Roxham Road was largely shut down in March 2023 after Canada and the United States expanded the Safe Third Country Agreement to apply across the entire land border instead of only at official ports of entry. Oh, Jim's noticing again. I am. I'm sorry. I do that. That's what I do. I do notice things. So a slew of concerns over housing affordability with Canada having some of the most unattainable houses in the world. Well, I wonder how much that's going to change too. It's mass migration, not immigration. Yes. I wonder how that's going to change too, since now Canada basically said that if your great-great-grandparents or something like that was a Canadian, now you get free Canadian citizenship. You're basically a Canadian citizen. So like if you any relative you could say was Canadian, you basically can get Canadian citizenship. So now they're just going to have a whole bunch more citizens. It's the UN, Jim. I know. So The government now announced lower permanent resident targets of 395,000, 380,000, and 365,000. So they're trying to cut back the number of foreigners there. Build back better, said in Canada first. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. So yeah, Canada's having issues. So, all right, on to the next story here. We have Capital One claims it debanked the Trump organization in 2021 over money laundering concerns, not because, not for political reasons. No, not for political reasons. That's what they're claiming. Not for political reasons. No. Not for political reasons. So Capital One has asked a judge to dismiss a lawsuit accusing it of debanking President Trump's company after the January 6th riot at the Capitol. So why would it be after the January 6th riot if it was over money laundering? That's kind of odd. Following an anti-money laundering review. See, now, if I was Trump, I would immediately file a lawsuit saying you accused me of committing a crime. File a defamation case against Capital One. Because they accused you of committing a crime. They just said, So sue them. The bank submitted court papers saying an internal review was conducted due to patterns that are among the types of activity flagged by federal banking guidelines. So the filing does not give details about the transactions or accuse Trump of a company of any wrongdoing. But you just said it was. You did accuse them. If you canceled their accounts because of a money laundering review, you're accusing them of wrongdoing. The decision to close the accounts was made as part of a process involving the lender's anti-money laundering professionals. So President Trump's trust and affiliated business entities originally filed suit, alleging it improperly shut down over 300 accounts due to political bias. It's clear. It was political bias. Funny they call J6 a riot, but don't call riots riots. It is, isn't it? And Trump has Capital One by its balls. I hope so. I really do. Yeah, Canada is controlled by the British Crown. They are subjects, not citizens. Yes, they're part of the Commonwealth, just like Australia. I think there's a couple more, maybe. So Fox News obtained the filing and says the plaintiffs have failed to state a legal viable claim. No, you guys politically persecuted them and canceled their accounts. That's what happened. So in 2025, President Trump signed an executive order to ban politicized debanking, and the Office of the Comptroller of Currency later announced actions to end unlawful debanking in federal banking system. Attorneys for President Trump filed a $5 billion lawsuit against JP Morgan and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, in January. The following month, JP Morgan Chase confirmed it closed Trump's bank accounts after the riot at the Capitol. Capital One did the same thing. They're trying to say, well, we did that right after it, but it had nothing to do with that. So we'll have to see, will Trump sue over this now? I would. He's got the money. I would sue him and say, you are defaming my company. You're defaming me. You're accusing me of being a money launderer. And speaking of the January 6th riot and stuff because of it, whatever you want to call it, protest, Blanche issues an order officially rescinding the $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, setting a stage for confirmation to move forward. This guy. Acting Attorney General Blanche issued an official order rescinding the anti-weaponization fund. On Sunday, Blanche posted the X order rescinding the fund. My team and I have met with committee members and senators over the past several weeks. We enjoyed good faith discussions, and the department always welcomes and appreciates productive engagement. So, Cornyn and Tillis have stalled Blanche's confirmation process, which is not advanced out of the Judiciary Committee over the anti-weaponization fund. So as part of the settlement with the IRS for a suit brought by President Trump and his two eldest sons over the leaked tax returns, the fund would have been established to provide compensation for victims of weaponization and lawfare, which this is crazy that we can't, when we win, we can't even win. Like Obama was allowed to give out tons of settlements to all types of people accusing, racism. People got paid. They are scared to death of discovery in a JP Morgan case. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Derek? Good to see you. If Edmonton and Calgary vote to join the U.S., Quebec will immediately follow. I thought that was toast months ago. It was. They said they stopped it, but they're still making it like these are rhino cocksuckers is what they are. All right, let's be clear. Tillis and Cornyn, they're just cocksuckers. So although the acting attorney general repeatedly advised Congress, including under oath, that the fund was not moving forward, the department repeatedly represented the district courts the fund is not moving forward. Like, yeah, but they were still making a big deal out of it. So In addition to formally rescinding the fund, the document also clarified limits on audit protections provided to President Trump and his family members. Capital One also took over Kohl's credit card a few years back. Yeah, it's crazy. So Senator Corden reached an agreement with the Department of Justice, which will be issued a formal order permanently terminating the Anti-Weaponization Fund. So that scumbag Cornyn won't let the people get paid who are targeted by the Biden administration. Maybe later, Lindsay's sister's base just cut off Dune. Yeah, I saw some of that stuff. I didn't see that, but I mean, I know she's basically, So Trump also expressed an intention to reinstitute the fund should Blanche's confirmation not advance. Todd Blanche was a voice of reason. It will immediately be back on the table and I'll get it done. So Trump's saying, oh, you don't want him as AG, then it's going to go back. So Senator Tillis, another piece of shit right here. So President Trump clearly intends to resurrect the payout pot for punks, either by inappropriately establishing another bogus fund or pushing Congress to vote for a bill. Tillis can't get the fuck out of Congress fast enough, man. It's a real piece of shit, man. Real piece of shit. Real piece of shit. So, and then even Senator Kennedy had some stupid shit to say about this. I don't know whether he really believes that. Kennedy says Trump is anxious, defends Jeanine Pirro dropping charges against David Hearn. So, yeah, I mean, Kennedy appeared to trash Trump over the charges being dropped in the Pirro case, which we talked about yesterday. But he's also supposedly he wants basically any fund going forward to be like to not allow anybody from involved in J6 to be able to go after the government for being weaponizing something. There was tons of people who didn't even go in the Capitol, didn't do anything wrong, who were allowed in and guided around on a guided tour. Those people deserve to get compensation for what happened to them.
Did you know that there is a natural way to regrow teeth and gums that 97%?
My grandmother is 103 years old, a doctor, lives alone, and has the sharpest memory in our entire.
Okay, let me ask you about another big topic this week, Senator. The Justice Department just this week dropped its charges against the Olympic canoeist that it accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool on the National Mall. The DOJ admitted that the damage was caused by, quote, botched installation and not vandalism. This was a case that the DOJ had said was open and shut. They said they could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Does this reversal undercut the public's faith in the Justice Department, Senator?
Well, the whole thing is a multiple vehicle pileup. Let me start with the president. The president says it was caused by vandals. I don't know whether he really believes that, or it's part of his political messaging, or he's just thinking out loud. You and I both know the president well. He exists loudly, and he grows anxious when he has an unexpressed thought. I'm not saying he doesn't really believe it. I just don't know. Now, the stakes are a lot higher for U.S. Attorney Pirro. You can't lie to a federal judge. If she can't prove her case, she was right to pull back. Because if you fool around with a federal judge, you will find out. When I was in private practice one time, I put my briefcase on a brand new conference table bought by a federal judge. And he got so mad, I'll never forget, I thought I was going to get to spend overnight with Bubba in central lockup. The federal judges will not tolerate it. And so if I don't know why she filed the suit without doing a full investigation. She says she relied on the Department of Interior, but she was smart to pull it back.
Very quickly, Senator, given that, because I have one more question on the shutdown, should the grand jury records be released so the public can see the evidence for themselves, Senator?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Fine with me. Yeah. And then this is the story I thought this article had this in here. So this is Senator Kennedy said Sunday he would not hand President Trump a blank check for a proposed anti-weaponization fund and would move to bar J6 protesters from any payouts. staking out a middle position as the $1.776 billion pool holds up Blanche's nomination. Kennedy's on Meets the Press said that legislation codifying the fund, but only after reading the text pointing to Tort Claims Act as existing route for people who say the government wronged them. So he said he was open to improvements, but would not sign a blank check. His remarks landed 2 days before the Senate Judiciary Committee vote, and 1 day after Trump threatened that he would impress Congress for an anti-weaponization fund. 2 senators refused to advance the bill. We already talked about that. So I want to see, is this actually, can I find this here? Oh, here it is. Kennedy says he would exclude J6 rioters. Let's see.
All right, let me ask you about what's happening on Capitol Hill, Senator. Republican Senators Tom Tillis and John Cornyn, as I just discussed, are holding up the confirmation of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche over their demand that the Justice Department end President Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, to remind people that effectively would mean that it would give people the ability to get compensation if they believe they were wronged by the federal government. President Trump now says he wants Congress to pass a bill making the fund the law of the land. Would you support such a bill, Senator?
Well, I'd have to read it first.
You'd be open to that, though, Senator?
World,
you'd be open to that?
Let me answer. In a perfect world, Senators Tillis and Cornyn and President Trump and Mr. Blanche would sit down and work this out. I do believe that Senator Cornyn and Tillis are talking with the Department of Justice. I don't know if they'll reach a deal. Frankly, I think the odds are against it. I wouldn't bet my house on it. And if I were betting your house, it would just be a maybe. In terms of the weaponization fund, the president himself has conceded that it will take legislation. I'm glad he conceded that. We'll get to shape the bill. We already have an anti-weaponization fund, a pool of money that you can access if you're abused by government through the Federal Tort Claims Act. But if he wants to improve it, I'm willing to look at it, but I'm not going to give him a blank check.
All right, well, let me ask you.
In terms of his settlement with that.
Let me ask you, I mean, do you think anyone who attacked police officers, stormed the Capitol on January 6th should get taxpayer money as a part of that fund?
No, I'd take them off the table.
Okay. And you would put that in the legislation, Senator?
Yeah. I just think, I'm not saying that everybody, well, strike that. Look, it's too emotional of an issue and it's too important of an issue. And if somebody thinks they were abused by the federal government when they were punished by attacking the Capitol in a riot that got totally out of control, right now they have the right to file a Federal Tort Claims Act against the federal government, and a federal judge will decide. And I would take that issue completely off the table.
Here's the scoop from.
Well, that's what he says. So, and then because of whatever Blanche said, now Cornyn and Tillis confirmed that they'll back Todd Blanche for AG after he scrapped the weaponization fund. So, like, why these guys, like what these guys had, that why this was such a big deal to them, you know? And Boom Boom says some of that money used in lawsuits would uncover a lot of dirt on Cornyn and Tillis. Yeah, probably. Maybe that's why they were against it. Why are you shaking your head when he says he doesn't want to pay people who attack police officers? You're not for the police. I'm not talking about the people. She said, stormed the Capitol or attacked police officers. So basically that means anybody who got arrested. There was a ton of people who were arrested that didn't attack the police. All right. Anybody who attacked the police, those are the people that should have gotten arrested. Somebody who attacked the cops, not the people that the cops waved in and opened the doors and let in and took on a guided tour. All right. Not the, remember the guy, what was his name? The shaman, the J6 shaman. He didn't attack any cops. Yes, they did. They did let people in. They opened the fucking doors and let the people in. They waved them in. Yeah. Oh, I'm spreading lies. Yeah, no, I seen it on fucking video. All right. I seen it. The fucking doors were magnetically locked. Somebody unlocked them. Yeah, Ray Epps, the only one with a slap on the wrist. Yeah, it's weird. The guy. So from the so Cornyn and Tillis are now they want. We were clear that we needed a written document addressing our concerns on the IRS audit agreement. Yeah, it's on video. They let him in. Yeah. So we're pleased that the Department of Justice has issued a formal order terminating the Anti-Weaponization Fund. So the Judiciary Panel, which was chaired by Chuck Grassley, is scheduled to vote for Blanche on Tuesday morning. Late Sunday, the acting AG formally rescinded the May 18th order. So Blanche has already said the fund was dead, but they wanted more proof. Yeah, it's documented and recorded. The Capitol Police held the doors open. Read a damn book. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget that Catboy Fuentes was also not held. Yeah, it's weird why Fuentes, who was on a microphone telling people storm in and do all this stuff, and he didn't even get arrested or nothing. That's weird. That's weird. Yeah. Very weird. So, yeah. Fuentes glows in the dark. Yeah, it's probably wild too. Like, this guy. All right, you're delusional, dude. Except you guys have no video. Oh yeah, the video's all there. Also, how many feds were there? Kind of crazy, isn't it? They denied that there was feds there, but then they were all there. Huh? Who planted the bomb? Wow. It was all staged, man. It was they tried a dry run of it in Michigan, and then they did it there. That's what happened. Ray Epps totally a fed. I think people were horribly treated. This has nothing to do with Todd. Yeah. And I'd like to see them compensated for the pain. You can't convince me that Ray Epps wasn't a Fred. You can't convince me either. Thank you for the 2. That means right now we are 93 away from a first additional hour and 43 away from Bellavision. Thank you so much. And then we had another 5 on Cash App. Lurch Linger. Thank you, Lurch. That brings us to 88 away from a first additional hour and 38 away from Bellavision. All right. Insider probably called Nancy, told her Arizona is voting yes. Wow. Oh, look at that. Lisa for 20. Thank you so much. That'll activate Bellavision right there. Oh my God, Bella's head's gone. Thank you so much, Lisa. And that means we are now 68 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much, everybody. Yes, thank you, Lisa. Yes. This chat audience is fire. Yes. Wow. Awesome. So, yeah, Trump thinks people were horribly treated. I think people were horribly treated. It's weird, that all this attacks and stuff happened like while Trump was still speaking. And people showed up and had no idea what was going on and got let right in. And I mean, they arrested people for not even going inside. Like Brandon Straka got arrested. He never went inside. So it's all bullshit, man. Yet I've seen many times people take over other stuff and cause hearings to stop, and there was, nobody gets arrested. So we got this story here. Trump criticizes Chevron CEO, urges oil companies to cut fuel prices now. I thought you said you were 48 away. No, I was 38 away for the for Bellavision, but because it was $20, it automatically activates Bellavision. Is what happened. So we're now 68 away. We were 88 away from an hour and 38 away from Bellavision. I have class in 5 minutes. We'll stay till 2100. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you for Bella. So President Trump called on oil companies to lower gas prices for the American consumers, and criticized Chevron for not crediting its administration's efforts to help the oil industry. So the only thing he conveniently forgot to mention is that without the genius, foresight, and strength of the Trump administration, the oil industry and the country itself would be dead. As an example, they threw Mike and Chevron out of Venezuela, but now they're back, far bigger and stronger than ever before. That goes for other oil companies as well. So the CEO said that they're in discussions with Iraq about exploring ways to bypass oil shipping through the Middle East's vulnerable shipping waterways, including construction of a pipeline which reversed north and moved to the Mediterranean, creating a pathway for that production to get to market. Bella's not impressed. Oh, she's all right. She's all right. Yeah. They were herded into a box canyon and stampeded under direct fire by the Capitol. Yeah, that's that. What was that? The one woman's name? I can't think of her name right now. That got basically stomped to death. So. This just says Chevron CEO issues his biggest oil warning yet.
A blowout quarter for Chevron with record earnings, record U.S. production, faster than expected integration with Hess, and a new deal with Microsoft to power up a data center in Texas. Joining me now is the chairman and CEO of Chevron, Mike Wirth. Mike, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Maria. It's good to be with you.
Well, it was an incredible quarter. Net earnings at $12.1
Roseanne
billion.
Boylan, yes.
That was more than $6 a share. The company's highest quarterly profit in at least 6 years on revenue of $70.1 billion, up 56% from a year ago. Can you give us the main takeaways of the quarter and what we should understand best about what took place in the last 3 months?
The story of the quarter is one of consistent execution, strong production, and record U.S. refinery throughput. We had assets around the world that ran at or near full capacity. We set a production record in the U.S. at nearly 2.1 million barrels of oil equivalent per day. We had record refinery throughput with runs greater than 1 million barrels a day, an all-time high here in the U.S., and several refineries set all-time records. All of that critically important at a time when the world energy system has been stressed and the need for supplies to markets and customers has never been higher. I'm really proud of our people in the quarter they delivered.
Yeah, congratulations. And you've been investing in this period. You know, one of the highlights, obviously, was much higher oil prices. And Mike, that's because of this war in Iran. And I want to get your take on that, because the last time we spoke, there was serious worries about security, about ships transporting through the Strait of Hormuz. What can you tell us as this war has escalated once again?
Well, I'll start with your comment about growth. Our production was up 20% year on year, 5% just since the first quarter to the second quarter. So we have been investing to grow production and bring energy to the market. The issues associated with the conflict in the Strait continue, and there are new developments each and every day. We now see not only the Strait of Hormuz, but the Red Sea and the Black Sea have risks and uncertainties. So some of the challenges have expanded. And the risks to supply are very real. We've seen demand in the world remain pretty strong, and China is perhaps the unexpected part of the story in that they've been able to reduce their crude purchases, which has taken a little bit of the pressure off the demand side of the equation as supply has had these challenges and these risks. And so inventories have been drawn down around the world, whether it's strategic stocks or commercial stocks, and the situation remains somewhat fragile and uncertain.
Well, has the Iran conflict permanently changed how you view geopolitical risk and energy security at this point, Mike? I mean, we're worried about ships transporting and actually a shutdown in shipping for these refined products.
Hey, Mary,
thinking on
great
this
to have
is
you here.
evolving. We've seen things like that happen over the past. I've been in this industry for 44 years. We've seen conflicts in the Middle East. We've seen conflicts in other parts of the world that have created issues for our industry. The industry responds in the short term with rerouting of supplies, and I think the industry's done well in this. The United States has been a big part of the story because as the biggest producer in the world, the biggest exporter now, to meet needs of our allies around the world, the U.S. has stepped up to be part of the answer here.
That's great. But yeah, so Trump is just telling them, presses oil companies cut prices after the Iran tensions ease. That's what he wants, cut prices, cut prices. President Trump demanded immediate reduction in retail fuel prices. Good, it needs to happen. Needs to happen. Same thing coming from Reuters. Trump blasts Exxon and Chevron for making too much money, demands lower gas prices. Hey, before I go, 50 of you still haven't hit that like button. Yeah, there's a lot of people over here that didn't hit the like button. It's very terrible. It makes me feel bad. Our Hydra always blames each other's head. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. TV child star arrested for, oh my, what? Oh my Lord. Say what? That's crazy. That's crazy. So Trump calls out Chevron and Exxon following blowout earnings. Says his administration saved the oil industry. So they says they're making too much money off higher fuel prices and they should give it back to the public. Chevron, too much money. Exxon, too much money. Thanks for the reminder. About what? About oil? What? So, right here, the Iran war has turbocharged big oil's profits.
It's turbocharged big oil's earnings, but can it last? This is Sectors Up Close, and we're talking energy. The big oil majors reported blowout profits on Friday, $5.5 billion for Exxon and $4.9 billion for Chevron, after the war in Iran caused a shortage of refined products that has led their pricing power to soar. US refineries were working at 97%.
So, yeah. So they're making too much, but they're making record money from the high oil prices, and it's time to start doing something. Yes, punch that like button. Yes, hit the like button. There you go. All I can say is rally with me. Keep Jim awake. Well, thank you. With that $2 right there, folks, that means we are now just $66 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. We got maybe about another 15, 20 minutes left if we don't get there. Was Gatherer being a bad boy? Hey, we just wouldn't shut up. Just wouldn't shut up about talking about J6 saying how, they were all, no, they didn't get let in. They didn't get this. They didn't get that. It's like, goodbye. So the only thing he conveniently forgot to mention is that without the Trump administration, they would be broke. Well, they need to do something, but thank you so much. Money for nothing and the kicks for free. That's right. So, all right. So, yeah, so oil prices, Michigan says water systems targeted in cyber attacks. FBI receives reports from multiple states. Michigan reported cyber attacks targeting 9 of the state's water systems following Minnesota earlier report that more than 30 water systems have been targeted. Did you catch what time the morning show for Rob's was going to be? I think 10 o'clock is what time he normally starts, right? 10 a.m. Sometimes Rumble I'll repost. I wish they would fix the features. It would be nice. So the president instead blamed, following an article published, Michigan reported cyber attacks targeting 9 of the state's water systems following Minnesota's earlier report that more than 30 water systems have been targeted. Oh, he said early. Oh, okay. I don't know. You have to just watch it. So at least 5 other states have been affected. False flags? Could be. So following an article posted in the New York Times that cited Iran as the culprit, President Trump pushed back during a cabinet meeting at Camp David. The president instead blamed Governor Tim Walz and the state's leadership for the cyber attacks, calling them grossly incompetent. Well, they are grossly incompetent. I mean, 2 things can be true at the same time. Tim Walz is grossly incompetent. Minnesota is grossly incompetent. They've got a bunch of like third world idiots running around and stealing money and breaking things. So Dale George, Director of Communication for Department of the Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, said that Michigan officials have received reports soon after a federal cyber alert was issued on Tuesday, warning of attempts to tamper with operational technology at water systems. So the state received a small number of reports from Michigan communities indicating activity consistent with what federal agencies describe. Nonetheless, the director said all systems continue to operate safely. Issues were addressed by local partners. So the FBI warns that malicious cyber actors are conducting cyber attacks targeting operational technology devices. A lot of this could be Somali Central, totally. A lot of this could be AI, people using AI to do this stuff. During the Biden administration, our enemies tested our food supply, especially protein. Now it's civil infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, don't you remember during the Biden administration how like all these processing plants would just burst into flames? Chicken processing plants, beef processing plants, the egg facilities just blowing up. If Walz is working for China, he's completely competent. Yes. Yeah. I'm not buying it. I don't believe Iran is doing that. They want Trump to retaliate to screw the midterms. Minnesota sucks. I wouldn't be surprised if Walz had something to do with it, even if it's just ineptness. FBI warns malicious cyber actors are conducting cyber attacks. Incompetence for allowing an antagonist to perform attacks is maddeningly common. Yeah. So the FBI is aware of the recent reports around the water and wastewater sectors. State and local officials nationwide are on high alert. Minnesota officials noted most confirmed intrusions targeted operational technology used for remote equipment monitoring and control. Clarified the impacted systems experienced confirmed cyber activity. It's not yet clear who's responsible. Saying it's not clear who's responsible. That's because China owns all our processing plants. I know it's terrible. They own way too many. They shouldn't be allowed to control our food supply like this. No baby yet for Robbie. Starting at 8 a.m. his time. He's in DC. So 8 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. We have a well. No water issues here. There you go. There you go. We need to kick China out of our country. Yes. Well, don't worry about it, Kofi. I needed to have at least one over there on Kick, and you're there every day. So same story here. It says water systems breached, Iran link eyed. So Iran is now the focus of a federal cyber probe after hackers hit more than 30 Minnesota water systems. So federal and state authorities are examining a coordinated cyber attack to hit more than 30 Minnesota water systems. The attack drew the attention because it targeted water and wastewater technology, not just office computers. Why Iran is the leading theory? Because why wouldn't it be? They just blame Iran. Our government is responsible for China owning stuff in the U.S. Yeah. Several outlets reported that analysts pointed to the method used, the timing, and the lack of a ransom demand. Oh. So the timing and the lack of a ransom demand. ABC also reported officials were looking to whether Iran or hackers tied to the country could be behind the incident. That doesn't mean they are. They're looking into it. Inside job. It could be. Very well could be. The strongest caution is simple. Public attribution is not finished. Reuters reported that Minnesota IT Services has not formally attributed responsibility. It matters because the current case relies heavily on unnamed officials and press reports, not a released technical dossier that the public can expect. They're expecting a wave. The attacks come days after federal agencies warned about Iranian hackers. So somebody warned about, be careful of Iranian hackers, and then something gets hacked. It's like, it had to be Iran. They warned about Iran. It was kind of the same thing. If you remember, there was that thing called the laptop when the feds went around and warned all the social media companies about Russian disinformation. And then they all blocked the laptop information saying, well, this had to be what they were talking about. And it wasn't. It was all a plan to basically protect Biden from the laptop information. Yes, they have no internet in Iran. That's true. Nothing's really connected to the internet in Iran. That's why they had to do Stuxnet with the USB drives that they would just drop and hope people would plug them in. So The limited evidence also leaves room for a later revision. Al Jazeera reported that officials have not determined who's behind the attack. So, this incident lands in a country already worried about soft targets, weak grid security, and other foreign cyber threats. So the key point is that the attack was real. The target was critical infrastructure. The Iranian theory is strong but not proven. I don't say it's strong. The absence of public forensic release means the case is still developing. So, yeah. And then this just says Michigan and Minnesota join an FBI probe of water system cyber attacks. Wastewater infrastructure cyber attacks. What we know.
Also, new warnings from the FBI and the EPA as a new wave of cyber attacks are hitting water systems nationwide, with at least 7 states now reporting attacks targeting their systems. So far, there's no evidence that these attacks have made water unsafe to drink, but investigators are pointing their attention to Iranian hackers. News Nation national correspondent Brooke Schaefer joins us live with more on this story. So, Brooke, what states are now reporting these hacks this morning?
Well, Marky, we know Michigan now reporting cyber attacks on 9 of its water systems. Federal officials say cyber attackers have locked people out of systems, even led to boil water notices in some places, though they didn't specify exactly where. So far across the country, at least 7 states have reported incidents. The largest has been Minnesota. Authorities there said 30 water systems were recently targeted. In Bram, just north of Minneapolis, local leaders said hackers shut down the operating controls at the water treatment plant. Officials in Minnesota, though, at least stressing these cyber attacks did not impact water quality.
What they were able to do was they were able to switch either immediately to the manual controls or briefly shut down and then go to manual. But this really shines a light on the fact that we have to get to the bottom of what is going on.
The FBI is investigating these cyber attacks. They have not said.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be China? Sounds like Iran or China helping Iran. It's probably China. China's been at war with us for a long time, people. Wake up, smell the coffee. China wants Taiwan. China wants to rule the world. The stuff going on with Iran and Venezuela, China had to cut back on a ton of stuff because they don't have fuel. It's China and Russia. I would more honestly. I like your flag. That's the Persian Empire of Iran. Everything was always Trump being Putin's puppet until now. Yeah, Russia has the most capable black hatters out there. I say China. Yeah, China. It's China. China has a bunch of AI stuff that basically they don't have any guardrails on it. And you heard the stories about the AIs attacking other AIs, hacking stuff. There was one called Face Hugger or Hugging Face or something like that broke into other stuff. It's crazy.
Who is responsible, but the agency had warned Iranian hackers have been targeting our water systems and other critical infrastructure in what could be the latest move in digital warfare. Marky.
Brooke, thank you. I'm now joined.
Yeah, I mean, it's right here. I'd love to see a list of the employees at these water systems. Yeah. Minnesota is run by the flip-flap mafia. Take care, Anton. Alien face hugger. Yeah, well, the alien face hugger. Well, that's what I'm saying. This AI company was called like Hugging Face or Face Hugger, which basically was like the thing from Alien, that face hugger. That's what they named their AI, and it basically went and face hugged another AI and did stuff to it. I mean, what if these people, think about it. Minnesota. Stuff's been going on there. The people doing all these protests, all this stuff, they basically think they're a different country, that the whole government's seditious. So you got people working for these facilities that are willingly giving information over to a foreign power. Clearly Wallace had some weird stuff going on with China, all the trips and stuff he did there. So you can't trust any of these people. Yeah, that place is a nightmare. It is total nightmare. Russia is sending drone parts through the Caspian Sea. Yeah, and that's why the Ukraine has started hitting the ships going between Iran and Russia, because they're trading parts and doing stuff. Non-consenting AI, is that a crime yet? They're trying to make it a crime. New York or Minnesota or someone's trying to pass a law basically to say like, oh, AI is against X AI coming next month. ZG coming next month. Sorry, G. China, India, and Russia have hyper-developed black hat programs that are all allied with the regime. Easily could be they got help from them. Facehugger and plants an egg for later. Yeah.
Joined by Michael Crean, an Army combat veteran and Senior VP of Managed Services at Sonic Wall. Michael, thank you for your time. You know, there's live debate right now about whether or not this is even Iran or somebody spoofing Iran to inflame tensions. In your eyes, does this have the markings of the IRGC? And how do you tell the difference?
Well, I want, just before he answers, I want everybody to remember that there was 51 intelligence experts, remember, that wrote that email saying that the laptop had all the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign, all the hallmarks. So until you show me proof, I don't believe any fucking thing anybody says anymore. We need Ukraine to hit more fuel tankers so they can't send those parts to Iran.
You know, I think it's a little early to judge. We've got our intelligence organizations, we've got the FBI. Everybody's looking into this to try to determine what it is so that we can learn how to protect ourselves better. Does it have the markings? Yes. But I'd hate to be the one that just comes out and says it and doesn't have enough information to clearly,
or any information, any proof,
cohesively say, yes, this was them.
Why would Iran, or any adversary for that matter, target water specifically? What's the logic there? What are the intended impacts?
I mean, the logic there is that there's a huge psychological impact on our citizens. If we start to determine that our infrastructure or maybe these operational technologies are too connected to the internet, it makes it a simple, easy task for somebody to start disrupting our everyday lives. Thankfully, what has been reported so far, there's been no risk, water is still safe, and we're good. We just have to make sure that we're protecting them to get out of the way of what could be something that could be a bigger impact to how we live. And water is a very essential part of how we do our day.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it causes mass panic, mass chaos. Let me play some sound for you, Michael, because the president was just asked about this Minnesota hack specifically over the weekend. I'll play what he said and get your take on the other side.
I just want to mention that we heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
Michael, curious what your take is, your reaction to him blaming state leaders rather than the nation we're at war with.
Well, I think we all have to take responsibility for this action.
Hi, Karen.
It comes down to even some of these small little towns. You know, I think about, and not that Ohio has been enlisted, but I think about the small town that my mom lives in. It's 7,000 people. That little city is managing the water supply there. It's an awful lot to become a cybersecurity expert.
It's an awful lot. It is. So yeah. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's what they're trying to claim. So we'll see. You know, keep an eye on it and see what's happening. But anytime something like this happens and they start immediately trying to tell you they know who did it, you know, you should always question everything. You know. Why would Iran target Minnesota? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. You know, unless somehow they had some Muslims gave them information for the systems. Flint, Michigan says, hold my beer. That's right. Our government AI is named Claude. It makes you feel any better. Yeah. China is using Pakistan to transport and support Iran. I think we need to intercept China's ships. Yeah, definitely. This one, exclusive Grok jailbreak creates sexual violent images. I saw that stuff. So, California Democrats overwhelmingly backed the billionaire tax ahead of high stakes November ballot. Well, yeah, let's see until they realize that the tax is going to be on everybody. It's not just going to be on the billionaires because they ain't going to have enough billionaires to pay the tax. Just like what happened with the Kami Mandami when they said we're going to get these 30,000 properties of all these rich people that have second homes, and that it immediately was 980,000 properties. The digital fingerprints and code can be spoofed. Yeah. Target the weakest link. So the proposal secured 60% threshold required for the party's endorsement during a meeting of hundreds of demon rats in San Diego. If endorsed by the voters, the measure would impose a one-time 5% tax on Californians with a net worth of at least $1 billion, affecting roughly 200 of the state's wealthiest residents. I think a bunch of those people moved. Like, they're talking about net worth, so people are going to be forced to sell their stocks. I mean, you realize how insane that is? So net worth of $1 billion, so that means 5%, so they're going to have to come up with $50 million. All the billionaires are leaving. They're going to Texas and Florida. Good. So Gavin Newsom and Demon Rat gubernatorial candidate Xavier Becerra have both publicly opposed the proposal. The initiative was placed on a ballot by the Service Employees Union, the SEIU. Oh, yeah, the union run by commies and foreigners. The union packed with illegal aliens. Claims the tax will raise $100 billion. Are they insane? How's it going to raise $100 billion? This endorsement puts to rest the idea that California Democrats are not united by the billionaire tax. So the measure has drawn support from far-left Democrats, including Bernie, the commie, I've never had a job, I got kicked out of a commune for being a lazy fuck, Sanders, and Roe, I'm a lying scumbag who makes millions of dollars trading stocks while I pretend to be broke, Kana. They argue that California's wealthiest residents should contribute more to fund healthcare programs for illegal aliens. California has already lost 30% of the targeted billionaire tax base before this effective residency date, just like it drove down TV and movie production out of the state. So what? You can't put a tax. Well, no, it's a one-time tax, but then it's going to be a continuous tax. One time the first time, one time the second time. Yeah, that's the thing. So Democrats, the teachers union, the professional firefighters, and several billionaire donors have lined up against the proposal, arguing it would damage the state's economy. Well, of course it will. Of course it's going to be a problem. People that don't realize it, I don't know what to tell you. You don't realize it's a problem. I really don't. So the union behind the initiative hosted hospitality events and distributed promotional merchandise to party officials, while opponents reportedly helped cover hotel rooms, registration fees, and travel expenses. So wait, I thought you're not supposed to, isn't that called bribing people, giving them free shit? Well, the rich hire the illegals. Well, the tax would apply to individuals who were California residents on January 1st, 2026, and whose net worth reaches at least $1 billion by the end of the year. See, I don't know that you can retroactively, if somebody is not a resident, that's gonna end up in a federal court. Somebody who moved out and it hasn't been passed yet. It's not a law yet. So you kind of would have to make it after the date. You would have to make it after the date. Many billionaires have already threatened to leave, wreaking further damage on the America's largest state. So it's going to reach far beyond billionaires. The original story published last week that the SEIU has gathered more than 1.5 million signatures. It's kind of crazy, you know. And California may drive $30 billion of businesses out of their state by blocking a planned merger. Yes. So they're trying to stop the merger between Paramount, Sundance, and Warner Brothers for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. They're mad that they want more woke bullshit movies. They're not happy. They're trying to tax people for leaving. Yes, that's what they're trying to do. We're going to tax them going back. People who, which I don't see how you can, I don't think that's legal. I don't think you can tax somebody previous to when, you said you're going to do this. People say, fuck that, I'm leaving. Well, we're going to tax you anyway because we backdated it. It doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Bernie needs to get checked in the open for getting booted from a commune for refusing to work and not earning his first paycheck till after his 40th birthday. Yes, totally and completely. Professional firefighters union backing Ohio Dem governor's race. Well, probably. They're, can't ever trust demon rats. So, Attorney General Rob Bonds has filed a lawsuit to block the merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers, but the move could cost the state $30 billion in economic activity. Paramount CEO is making a bid to purchase Warner Brothers for $110 billion, drawing the ire of state officials, although the deal was cleared by federal authorities. So, friends and advisors of Ellison are encouraging him to move the headquarters and much of its $30 billion in planned spending outside of California. No decision's been made and considerations may just be a show of brinksmanship. But some characterize Ellison as hesitant to move to headquarters, seeing as he spent much of his life in the Golden State and moved Paramount's headquarters from New York to Los Angeles after he purchased the company last year. I'm sure this billionaire tax thing is going to be an issue. Yeah, all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation campaign. Yeah, that's all you need to say. Yeah, exactly. With all the money, Cali can build another mile for the high-speed rail. Yeah, they didn't get their bribes. Yeah, swallow your diamonds. That's what they're going to need to do. Isn't that what Mondummi's trying to do? Oh, yeah, they're all trying to be commies. They're all commies. Paramount's blasting the antitrust lawsuit. The company argues competition will remain vigorous. Like, do they think, like, anybody can make a movie now? This is ridiculous. And the streaming platforms and all this other stuff, it's crazy. And money, it's like, the money's not there. Let's just say, God bless Candace Owens. She is the queen of America now. Saint Jesus is with you. Stay strong. Charlie Kirk forever. Those two things don't go together. You know, there was a reason why, Charlie Kirk distanced himself from Candace Owens. You know, might want to look into that just a little bit. Hollywood is the template for capitalism. So Bonta contends in a statement that the merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers would lead to higher prices, lower quality, and less content for film and television. There's so much fucking content now. That's part of the problem. That's insane. And, better quality. The quality of films have been going down. Why do you think everybody likes older films? The new shit sucks. I mean, I did hear good things about this new Spider-Man movie, but I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it. And I heard it's really good. So consolidation only leads to higher prices. That's not how anything works. Companies that have moved headquarters or operations away from California include Chevron, Schwab, Toyota, In-N-Out Burger, Oracle, and McKesson. Elon Musk companies such as Tesla and SpaceX have left California for Austin, Texas. Are you attracting crazies now, Jim? It seems like I'm attracting some crazy people. What's Spider-Man? This new Spider-Man movie, the new A New Day or whatever. It's called like A Brand New Day. I think it was just this weekend was the opening weekend. It made almost $1 billion this weekend. People are saying it's really good, so I don't know. It's an actual Marvel movie. It's got like a bunch of people in it. So they claim that the merger violates Section 7 of the Clayton Act, which says mergers that may substantially lessen competition or create a monopoly are illegal. The federal government already cleared it, though, and it's a federal law. I haven't seen a movie in a theater in about 10 years. I'll tell you, the last movie I saw in a theater, and I was glad I went to see it, was that Daredevil and Wolverine movie. Not Daredevil, I'm sorry. Holy fuck. The Wolverine and Deadpool movie. That was really good. Great flick. You seen it last night. Well, that's awesome. I might go see it at the movies, and maybe I'll take the grandkids. Nicolas Cage plays the older retired Spider-Man. Yeah. That's what you heard about Spider-Man? Yeah, I hear it's good. So, this is the numbers? Okay. Well, we'll look at that in a second. So the complaint asserted the merger would mean 3 distributors will control 75% of major films. So that's 25% each. Well, so what about the other 2? So Paramount's proposed acquisition will end the competition, threatening viewers. They don't make any sense. So if 3 of them own 75%, that means each owns 25%. So the Attorney General of other states, including Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, massive 2 shits, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, Mexico, New York, Oregon, Washington, all joined the lawsuit. So whatever. We'll have to see what happens. I even watched Disclosure Day in my living room. Cool. It was pretty all right. Okay. Last movie you watched in a theater was The Sound of Freedom. I think that's what it was called. The problem with Californians leaving California is they vote Dem where they end up. I know there should be like a listen to black women, Jim. They lead the way. Oh. Last movie you saw in a theater was Oppenheimer in IMAX. Oh, Oppenheimer was a great movie. Any updates from CENTCOM? I'll look real quick, but I don't think so. Nothing really. Nothing really. Just that there's still a blockade going on against Iran. They've redirected 44 commercial vessels and disabled 2, boarded 2. So, I mean, I guess if you really want to see it. So before we get into the Spider-Man stuff, this is it. So that
Captain, you are requested to alter course to 190. If you do not comply, we will compel compliance with force. This is Warship 45. We will monitor your course for compliance at this time. Warship 45 standing by on 16 out. Captain, you are requested to alter course.
that's it. That's all from CENTCOM today. This is it. And paratroopers conduct small arm training. This was yesterday. F-35 stealth fighter launched off the Abraham Lincoln. Lieutenant General Leahy met with Kuwaiti Armed Forces Chief General and discussed shared defense and reaffirmed U.S. commitment to Kuwait. That's it. Not really much. Not really much going on there. Not really much. So here's the Spider-Man numbers. So domestic box office 360 million, international 581, so it's 941 million. So almost $1 billion. It just opened up this weekend. So they were open July 31st. By Sony Pictures. So July 29th in China, stuff like this, other dates. So I mean it's doing good. It's doing really, really good. So we got this story here. The story will F up. Yeah. F you up. Yes, it will. Hey, Sweet Daydreams. Great to see you. Why are all the movies about old comic book heroes? That's a really good use of creative talent. Boring. Well, it's because a lot of the people that are older and have money now are people who read those books. May already be in profit territory. Poor Miss Anne. Praying for Miss Anne, keep her close. Why would happen? What's going on here? What did I miss? I missed something? Oppenheimer was awesome. I even named my rescue dog Oppie, like his namesake. Smart and a ladies' man. Occasionally drops an atomic bomb. Oh, that's funny. It's because they don't do real heroes anymore. So all I will say is, it is what it is. It is what it is. You can't make everybody happy all the time. I've learned that. I learned that lesson the hard way. Nationwide power failure hits Caribbean island as American citizens warned to prepare. Prepare to be boarded. 3 grid failures occurred in July alone. Residents enduring 106-degree heat indexes without air conditioning. So, 106-degree heat indexes. So, what does that mean? What does that mean that the temperatures were in the 90s? And then because of the humidity and everything. Americans who are illegally traveling to Cuba should expect major disruptions. So Fox News, the U.S. has obtained information from the U.S. Embassy in Havana saying all U.S. citizens in Cuba are planning to travel to Cuba should be prepared and plan accordingly. So Cuba has electricity problems. It's had electricity problem for a long time. So Sunday's highest temperature was 93, though it felt like 106. So it was 93 degrees. See how they tell you the heat index when it was 93. They just make shit up to make it sound worse. So the Treasury Department says Americans may travel to Cuba for purposes including family visits, journalism, education, religious activities, humanitarian projects, or support for the Cuban people, but not like Hassan Hamas Piker did, traveling there for communist propaganda purposes. Yes. So, do not physically resist any robbery attempt. Oh, if someone tries to rob you in Cuba, just give them your shit. Dolan says, got a bolt. Good show. Be cool, everybody. Why can't they just say what it is? Ain't it? War heroes was the thing during and after World War II. Yeah. So the advisory also referenced prolonged power outages. Cuba has struggled with an aging electricity grid. Yeah, look at it. Why don't they? You would think that all these people, maybe they would just paint those pillars and make it look nice. Bye. So according to Cuba, the reason the collapse and timeline to restore the power is unknown. Okay. 107 here right now, an hour before sunset. Is that the temperature? The actual temperature? That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. We got this story. Washington principal and athletic coordinator charged for failure to report allegations that a trans wrestler sexually assaulted a girl during a match. Yeah. He stuck his fingers in her hoo-ha. Two Puyallup school district officials have been charged with gross misdemeanors for failing to report Rogers High School wrestlers' claim that she was sexually assaulted during a girls' wrestling match by her biological male opponent, who identified as transgender. According to records, Rogers High School principal and athletic coordinator Jason Smith and Peter Collins were charged in Pierce County District Court with failure to comply with Washington's mandatory reporting laws. Well, they didn't want to mandatorily report because, you know, trans and all that stuff. The charges stem from allegations made by Kaylee Keeler, who says she was sexually assaulted during a girls' wrestling match against a biological male. Keeler and her family have maintained they reported the assault to school officials immediately, but law enforcement was not contacted for 53 days. Doesn't she know where his nuts are? The charges come weeks after Pierce County prosecutors declined to file criminal charges against the trans athlete. In a memorandum explaining that decision, prosecutors concluded they could not prove a charge of third-degree rape beyond a reasonable doubt because Washington case law involves consent in athletic contests. So you can rape somebody as long as it's an athletic contest. Okay. Prosecutors acknowledged there was no doubt Keeler did not want penetration to occur, but concluded they could not overcome a legal consent defense recognized in organized sports. So you heard that? You hear that, all right? Did you hear that? In Washington State, if you agree to any type of sporting event, sporting contest, you could be digitally penetrated, and they can't do anything about it. The prosecutor also emphasized the decision not to file a charge was unrelated to the athlete's gender identity. Bullshit. Bullshit. Keeler and her mother have filed a separate federal lawsuit against the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and Superintendent Chris Radical of the Puyallup School District. And they allege that Washington's policies allowing biological males to compete in girls' sports led directly to the incident. Good, these suits got to happen. It is sick. It is very sick. Lawsuit alleged Keeler was never told before the match she would be wrestling a male. A senior counselor with the Alliance Defending Freedom are seeking more than damages. They want to be able to ensure that she can participate in a sport that she loves without the fear of this kind of thing going to happen again. Unrelated. Yeah. Unrelated. Yeah, definitely. This is kind of why men don't belong in women's sports. Yeah. I mean, if you know any guy wrestlers that wrestle other guys, guys do things like they do that stuff to other guys. They'll stick their thumb in their bum. Andre the Giant was known to do that. Like, you can look it up. Like, when he was wrestling people, he would just stick his big thumb. They call it checking the oil to make people freak out, and you can pin them. So they said Keeler has wrestled since she was 4 and still hopes to compete again, but has not been guaranteed she won't be again matched against a biological male. Yeah, butt drag or the oil check. Yeah. Yuck. Oh, I know it's yucky. I'm just saying. I'm just facts. That's all I'm doing here. Her only recourse would be to figure it out herself and forfeit before she walks on the mat, and that's not fair for her or any girl in the state. So the controversy continued into the postseason after the allegations became public. The male wrestler accused by Keeler voluntarily withdrew from Washington State Girls Wrestling Championships. His place in the tournament bracket was subsequently awarded to a female athlete. Crazy. It is. So earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Education opened a Title IX investigation into the school district. Federal officials say they are investigating whether the district violated Title IX by allowing. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And they're allowing them to compete in girls' sports, forbidding biological males to access girls' locker rooms, failing to adequately respond to allegations of sexual assault. The controversy has also become a focal point in a campaign over initiative IL 26638, a Let's Go Washington measure on the November ballot that would prohibit biological male students from competing in girls' and women's scholastic sporting events. Supporters of the initiative have repeatedly pointed to Keeler's case as an example of why they believe the state law should be changed. Yes, they are suing. They're suing. It's been beautiful here on the coast of Washington. Charges against the Rogers High administrators comes months after Longview Public School superintendent was arrested and charged with felony witness tampering, failure to report child abuse, and obstructing law enforcement in connection with allegations that district officials failed to promptly report sexual assault claims at Mark Morris High School. Prosecutors said Longview administrators attempted to handle allegations internally rather than immediately notifying the police. Yes, more suing needs to happen. Yes. So, officials face consequences when they fail to report child sex abuse and sexual assault. If convicted, officials would face penalties associated with Washington's mandatory reporting statute. The criminal case, Keeler's lawsuit, and the department's Title IX investigation all remain pending. Mansplaining is patriarchal unless a trans is involved. Yes, yes. Well, everybody, we went 3 hours. We did not hit the goal, unfortunately. So, wait. Oh, wait, we got one more. We got one more story I'm going to cover because it's kind of on point here. So we'll cover this last one. Here. A transgender TV star arrested on child molestation and sodomy charges. Go figure, right? Go figure. Thank you for being here. Please tell your friends and come back. Transgender TV star arrested on child molestation and sodomy charges. Transgender TV star Sydney Starr arrested for sodomy. A trans TV star was arrested on child molestation and sodomy charges. Sydney Favors, a.k.a. Sydney Starr, was arrested Sunday and charged with sexual battery against a child under 16. The alleged crimes transpired at the Embassy Suites on International Boulevard. Sydney Starr is a biological male who starred in Love and Hip Hop New York and Wild and Out. Starr was booked into Fulton County Jail. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office is handling the case. We'll have to wonder. A TV star. It sounds like this, what you're saying, from they were in Love and Hip Hop New York and Wild and Out. Should not be considered a trans until translation is complete. Transition. So a reality TV celebrity faces multiple felony charges after police arrested him Sunday in connection with the alleged assault of a juvenile. Sydney Favors, who also goes by Sydney Starr, was taken into custody following an incident. So are they going to put this guy into a female prison so he can molest other women? Sodomy, sexual battery against a child under 16, and aggravated child molestation. Favors remains at the Fulton County Jail. According to law enforcement, the investigation has been officially turned over to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. It is a sickness. It is. It is a sickness. It is a sickness. So, yes, it is a sickiness. Well, I want to thank everybody who is here. Please remember to hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please come back tomorrow to check out the show. Should be the same time, depending on if Rob streams or not. I follow Rob's show very gratefully that he raids me pretty much every night, so that he streams in the afternoon. So if Rob streams tomorrow afternoon, I will start at 7. If Rob doesn't stream because, say, the baby comes or something, then I will start later, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please remember to hit the like button. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. It does help a lot. It means a lot, and it helps the channel grow. And yes, thank you. Thank you. And come back tomorrow for Jim to tell you the news.